All right. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the Wareham Zoning Board of Appeals. For tonight meeting, Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. It is 6:35, and we are at room 320 at the Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. I want to call the meeting to order. I'll make a roll call. My far right, Associate Member, Mr. Conti. Regular Member, Ms. Veronica Debonese. Our Clerk, Jim Akabachi. To my far left, we have Town Planner, Independent Consulting, Mr. Charles Rowley. Associate Member, Mr. Sampos. Regular Member, Mr. Morrison. Myself, the Chair, Nazi El-Khalasi. We have some quick business to do for the minutes.
Excuse me, Nazi. Walter Cruz is also present.
Why are you so far?
6 feet.
Oh,
6
he
foot
is.
rule.
I don't know. They don't want me behind the glass.
I was wondering where you are. I'm counting the members. I'm very sorry.
That's all right.
And regular member, Mr. Walter Cruz, because usually say here.
And we get Charlie over there too to keep
Moving me closer to the door.
You know, see, that shows you we never look like this. We always. Anyway, we have some minutes to approve for August 26th.
I've had a chance to review the minutes, find them acceptable as presented, and make a motion to approve as presented.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Samples. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain, it carries. Okay, anybody from Walmart here?
Ken will deal with that.
Okay, we'll deal with that later. We'll table that to the end. I want to jump quick to the continued public hearing, 13 over Jordan Road. Want to come forward? Before I go forward, on the public hearing, who's here with the attorney? You and who else on Mr. Markley and Mr. Mannix? Do you guys have an attorney? No?
Attorney Mannix is,
Okay.
and
This is
also Mr. Haversack, Mannix on 6 months older. Both of them.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna take this quick. Just to refresh my memory, this public hearings, you attorney, what's your name,
Yes.
sir?
Hi, sir. For the record, my name is Kevin Clower. I'm an attorney with Ament Clower Law Firm in Falmouth, and I represent the applicant, Tom Parento, being the manager of TJP Realty LLC.
All right, and just, I know I wasn't here at that hearing, right?
That's right.
And I didn't have record, who was in that hearing?
I was here.
Jake, Mr. Samples,
myself.
Chris,
Veronica, and Mr. Conti.
yeah.
Okay, so I believe this public hearing's still open.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So Jim, wanna take over and continue, see what happened with the hearing?
And, okay, thank you. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we get?
I do, sir.
Go ahead.
We were able to, just as a quick reminder, we're applying for an accessory structure. We're applying for a variance for the accessory structure in excess of 20 feet. When we were here last time, the proposed barn was going to be about 25 feet high. We were able to modify the design, and I have revised plans, but we were able to get the barn down to 21 feet 8 inches. Just given the size of it and the pitch of the roof that's necessary, that's what they came up with. If I could pass this to you, Mr. Conti. So what we're asking for, we're still requesting a variance, but instead of 25 feet, we are looking at 21 feet 8 inches. And I think the board had asked specifically, what was going to be used for, and in speaking with the client, he'd indicated that, he has a few personal cars, some equipment for his property, because it's a rather large site, it's about 5 acres. He does have a tractor, that's a full-size tractor that's being stored there, as well as a boat. So a sizable amount of equipment that's going to be stored at the property.
Thank you. Can I interrupt you just 1 minute? For the record, I want the record to show that Kenneth Buckland has shown up. Thank you. Go ahead.
That's about the extent of it, so we are,
So now, you recapped a little bit about what this is for. Last week, we saw you regarding
that was for the primary dwelling.
the primary dwelling, which is on a separate lot
Same lot,
completely.
it's the same lot.
That's all set, we passed that, and you're gonna be, what, 75 feet in the air, 80 feet?
No, it'll be elevation 48, which is, I think, I think it was, if I'm recalling correctly, it was
I think you're gonna end up around 40 feet high.
40 feet high,
I-
that's
I
correct.
know. I had to say 80 so that everybody's heart could go up
Well, it's, you know,
high, and
the
then they
dramatic
could- then they
effect
could
was there.
relax, that's, yeah, when they found out the real number. Saves the argument. Anyway, so you were looking to be 25 feet tall. Our bylaw allows you to be 20 feet tall.
Correct.
So you're really looking for a variance for 1 foot 8 inches.
That's correct, sir.
On a structure, on multiple acres, where you're in the flood zone, and because there's nobody living in it, you don't have to be on stilts.
That's correct, and we're actually gonna be, the first floor will be, it is in a flood zone, but it'll be flood zone compliant despite not having habitable space.
Okay. It won't have any habitable space.
No habitable space.
And during last week's testimony, we did get from the owner, there's a father and a son, there's actually gonna be 2 dwellings built.
Only one dwelling on this lot,
That we've dealt with, yeah.
Yeah, but
There's gonna
the
be another
fa-
one, and they own a piece up on, further up
That's
over
correct,
Jordan
sir.
Road too. So they're their own abutters practically.
they are mostly their own abutter, yeah.
Yep. So, to me, this one's very simple. I look to the board. I'll start with way over in the corner with Mr. Cruz, because we always go to him last, so. Were you here for this? Were you here for this, Walter?
Yeah, I was here
is the
2
barn,
weeks
the-
ago.
the-
Yeah, with
yeah.
the lighthouse house.
But I don't think you were here for the barn.
No, I wasn't here for the barn.
Barn, you were not?
I was here
Okay.
for the house.
Do you have any, you can still comment. You just can't vote on this one. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm fine
Okay.
with it, actually.
Coming up the line, Christopher?
No, I don't have any questions.
No questions. Veronica?
Nope, no comments, no questions.
Okay, way around the corner, I'm gonna go over to Richard.
No questions.
Great.
Jacob?
No questions either.
Mr. Buckland, do you have anything you want to add or subtract to this conversation?
No, I do not.
Okay, Charlie, this isn't in front of you, but you're here, I'll give you the courtesy, okay. I'm going to turn to the public. Is there anybody here in the room this evening that has any comments about this application, either in favor or against? Hearing none, I turn back to my board and suggest it may be appropriate to close the public hearing and take a vote.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
So it's been moved by Veronica and seconded by Richard to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 It passes. The public hearing is closed. There'll be no further discussion on this matter. Now we can entertain a motion to either approve or disapprove of this application. Do I have a motion either in favor or against?
I have a motion in favor.
Richard Semples has made a motion to approve as presented with standard conditions. Do I have a second?
I second. Should we approve it with the new plan he gave us?
I think we can, I said as presented, but it can be, we can refer to that. Can you see the date and,
If I may,
go ahead. I did skip right over.
it's okay, who was sitting in that case originally?
So we're gonna have Chris, Veronica, myself, Richard, and Jacob voting.
And Walter wasn't in it?
Walter?
Okay.
No, not in that
Okay,
one.
very good. Sorry.
I have a full-size copy of that plan, if you'd like it submitted as well.
I think, just for reference, it's drawn by Pat New, TJ, for 19 over Jordan Road.
Well, this
A
is,
copy for the file would be a good idea.
Copy for the file, yeah, because this one here,
well, this property is what, 13 over Jordan Road?
13.
That's just his address.
this one is for 13 over Jordan Road, that's correct.
Oh, but the drawing says 19.
That's a plan that we can, just give me the engineer and the date of the drawing.
Yeah, it's, that's just referring to his address. His address is 19 over Jordan Road. The date of this is 9/9/20.
9920, drawn on 9920 by
Longfellow Design Build.
Longfellow Designs and included in the file. So we have a motion in front of us to approve the plan drawn 9/9/20, approve the variance of 1 foot 8 inches to that barn. It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Thank you
sir.
very much. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. All right, we jump to the public hearing, 21-20, Howard Markley Jr. for 1013th Street.
I already signed one and gave it to Ken. Application public hearing. This is 13 over Jordan Road. Do we have a, okay, that's the one to be signed? Make yourselves comfortable. We gotta finish up some paperwork here on the last one before we,
Ken, but you could
I
read
mean,
the...
read the notice.
Yeah, please.
The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on September 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 PM in the room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571. To consider petition number 2120 for a variance from the requirements of Article 622 and Article 628 under the Wareham zoning bylaws for Howard Markley, Jr. of 40 Williams Street, Beverly, Mass., seeking to construct a new single-family dwelling at 10th, 13th Street, Wareham, Mass., Assessors Map 1, Lot 344, in the OB2 zoning district. And apparently he's traveled quite far to come from Beverly, Massachusetts.
Very well. Name and address for the record, please. Sir. Name and address for the
who's
record.
presenting for you? Who's gonna do this?
Howard Markley, 40 William Street, Beverly, Massachusetts.
Okay, sir.
Dominic Camerano, 22 West Boulevard, Onset, Mass.
All right, tell us what you're trying to do, please. Go ahead, sir.
Told me on the constru- yeah,
Just let us know what you're doing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We wanna know what
Present
you're
your
doing.
case.
Use the microphone, tell us what you're doing.
I want to build a house on this property.
Okay, very well. Okay, 1013th Street, I'll brief everyone. I'm very familiar with this property. This property was bought from an auction back in 2000, I think 7, 8, something like that, 6.
something like
From the
that.
town had a house on it, and the economy crashes. I guess the gentleman, Mr. Dominic, had some hard time. The building had to be torn down, and the economy kept going down the hill, and he never had the chance to build it. And I guess they're back to build the house. They did, I believe they did attempt to build it back then. You have, I drove by right now, you have a temp.
Yes.
Temp,
We have a temp service, correct?
right, so, we're gonna pass it to the board, see what they feel about it. I'm gonna start by Walter. Walter, what do you think?
Would you pass this to the...
I haven't seen anything on it, so I don't have that.
He doesn't have a copy of the file.
Yeah, so,
Mr. Chairman, we were one copy of the file short, so he doesn't have a copy.
I don't have any.
I'm looking at the lot now.
Mr. Cruz and
Pass him that.
this, okay, will you put this to your right, please, down for Walter? We'll give you a couple minutes to catch up, Walter.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna pass, Mr. Conte, do you have a comment on that?
I don't have any comments right now.
All right, Ms. Devenese, Veronica,
No comments at this point.
Jimmy.
I'm still reviewing the file, seeing it for the first time, so, I reserve my comments till I've had a better chance to review. I do have a question, I'm sorry. I see a picture here. I'm familiar with the building that was in the picture. I'm gonna hold it up so you can, it's a picture of two garage doors and a personnel door with a
Yeah.
That's not the property.
cantilevered, wrong property?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
It was a very small
that's why I'm
cape.
having a hard time following. More and more.
Jimmy, there was no garage, small cape.
The blue
Well, that's
folder,
what was, that was,
blue folder.
Markley.
There's a garage underneath it, right?
And what's this?
We're building one with a garage in it, but the old home was just a small dilapidated cave.
6 West Boulevard here.
Is
Yeah,
it
the
just the
final
blue
edit
folder, or is
and
this,
the
mo-
deeds and all that.
is this? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
6 West Boulevard. Did you get? I need 13,
Did you get this one?
Okay,
13th Street one.
I want to make sure I'm looking at the right
yeah.
file as well, I'm not.
I know this
There
house.
was a blue folder there telling me, let's look at that.
This is the house, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't have that. It's fine, I'll look at it briefly real quick.
Oh, I had it attached with that.
You on 13th Street, right?
Yes, 10th,
I know the
10th,
area.
The house.
13th.
For 1013.
Okay, I just wanted to see the, I wanted to see the letter from the building inspector.
But he needs a relief from 622
Dimensional
for
stand-
coverage, and he needs the dimensional standard.
Okay. So he's setbacks are a problem?
No,
Okay.
they're within the law, yes.
Yeah, within the lot, but are you within?
No, the law, I'm sorry.
They're within the setback requirements?
I believe they are, Jimmy, yes.
Okay. So
All the
dimension,
lots are the same size on that whole street.
okay, okay.
They're all 30, whatever, they're all,
So you're really looking for relief for building coverage because it's such a small lot?
yes.
And then dimensional standards because it's an existing lot, I got you now.
And of course, it's the flood
I
zone.
asked
you
the
know,
same question and you
That's
answered
okay,
it
the flood
repeatedly.
zone, we want
Okay,
to.
I'll get it.
Just one at a time, let's hear each other, one at a time, please. Go ahead, what do you want to say? Who wants to speak? Jimmy?
now.
Go ahead. All right, what do you want to say, Dominic?
No, I'm all set now, thank you.
Well, the fact is, my belief for this lot, the fact is that had a house in it. In the normal conditions, if there was no house, I would be definitely against it. But I know the hardship during the recession we had and the hardship of the lot itself, the way it stands right now. My opinion, personally, I'm okay with it. I'll continue with Jake. Jake, what do you think?
I have no questions at this time.
Mr. Samples?
I have no questions either.
All right, anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this project? Want to come forward, just state your
Not in
name?
favor, you said ask.
Okay, no one in favor. Okay, anyone against? Yes, come forward, please. Grab a mic somewhere. Dominic, want to let her sit, the lady sit? Just have a seat, state your name.
I'm actually here for
Just state your name for the record
Holly Van Nest,
and your address.
12 13th Street.
Yes.
And I also have a letter from the abutter whose address is 8 13th Street. He's unable to attend the meeting in person
Right.
because an individual at his child's daycare had contact with somebody who had coronavirus. So he's in quarantine right now. So this is his letter. His name is Ralph Pickett. He would like the town to address the following concerns. The height of the building over a large portion of the lot will most likely shade his solar panels on my roof for the tail end of the day, impacting me financially. If the size of the structure was more in line with the houses on our side of the street, i.e. 2 stories with a roof instead of 3, it would have significantly less impact. Second, I do not see a drainage mitigation for the lot. The roof pitches to my house. I would like to see gutters on a roof leading to a retention tank buried in the ground. And third, I would like to be assured that the lot will not be raised. If it is raised with the required 6-inch pitch in 10 feet. All the water from half the roof and my side of the lot will come into my yard. Please provide a solution for this issue. I wish I was able to attend the meeting in person. I'm sure the discussion would trigger more concerns from me. I am available for discussion during the meeting via cell phone from my cottage. Thank you for your time, Ralph Pickett.
Okay, very well. And your concerns, ma'am, and you are number 10? Number
No,
eight?
no, he was number 8.
You 12?
And I am at 12 13th Street. I wanted to start by just calling your attention to Article 2, Section 211-2, Number 4, that says OV2 district is intended to promote moderate density residential development. The house that is proposed would be extreme density development, not moderate. There's nothing in the design and size that suggests moderate. The Section 622 calls for the minimum lot area in OV2 for a one-family dwelling to be 10,000 square feet. The lot size, is based on two different sizes that I found in town records, is approximately 3,400 to 3,600 square feet. If it's 3,600 square feet, it's still 6,400 square feet under the size called for in the regulations to promote moderate density. Section 622 also calls for the minimum frontage to be 50 feet. It seems to be only 44 feet. The maximum building coverage is to be 20%, and the proposed site plan is 23%. And the FAR for lots 0 to 5,000 square feet is 25%, and the proposed site plan shows the FAR at over 45%. You know, the maximum building coverage of only 3% might be okay if the other three weren't so much over the regulations. A size of 3,600 square feet, when it's supposed to be 10,000, a frontage that doesn't meet the minimum, and the FAR at over 45%, I think are too much to ask to say that that's promoting moderate density. This size house perpetuates extreme density. There are several ways this house will have an adverse effect on our property. There don't seem to be any gutters on the house plan. With a house this high and so close to our property, where will the runoff from the roof go, if not onto our property and on our neighbors? The plans for drainage from their house are not clear. Where will it drain? To our house, to 8 13th Street? It seems the drainage will go right to the property line and thus over it onto ours. That side of our house will be completely shaded with this size house, changing the interior and exterior of the house. Outside, we have 2 gardens on that side, one that goes almost the entire length of our property and one that goes almost the full length of the house. As an aside, that last one we just created this summer. Both will lose most, if not all, of the sun, and will have a very detrimental effect then on the gardens. We will also lose a huge amount of natural light inside because the windows and the doors on that side are where most of the natural light comes into the house. We also have a back deck on that side of the house. The height and size will totally change the usability and enjoyability of the back deck. We will no longer have any privacy there. We will lose the sun and the view to the street. All of this will change how we'll be able to use and enjoy the deck. And lastly, while this may not be a zoning issue, it is something that I feel strongly about. I've lived there for 5 years, and these 2 particular owners have not been good neighbors. Soon after I moved in, they deposited a large shipping container on the property, and Mr. Camerano proceeded to use the container day and night to move goods from his business in and out of the container. There was also a large boat in the middle of the property. I filed a complaint with the building inspector, and he was told to move both, but it took months for him to comply, despite my asking him when he was going to do it pretty much every time I saw him on the property. And when he finally did, he removed the shipping container, but the large boat remained until earlier this year. They do have a temporary electric service board that has been at the property for the 5 years that we have lived there. It does not seem temporary to me, and it is right at our property line, right next to our driveway. They have allowed weeds to grow over waist high, a prime location for ticks, because all of this other stuff was there. It was difficult for abutting neighbors to do anything. Since they finally moved everything, Ralph from 8 13th Street has been mowing it regularly. So our request in summary is to deny these variances because they go against the intent of the zoning regs for OV2, the impact on our house's use and livability, and the doubt that the owners would follow building and other regulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I do, okay, I do understand your concern, ma'am. And you understand that there was a house there before, right?
Right, but it's not there now.
I totally understand.
And if it were a different kind of house that didn't require all these variances, I could be persuaded to talk
Okay,
about
we
that.
will, I am gonna do a
but-
few suggestions, and hopefully everybody, will make everybody happy. I do agree with you with the heights. Unfortunately, because he's in a foundation foundation
I
area,
understand.
he's at 8 now. Top foundation has to be at 12. I suggest to the builder or to the owner, my suggestion, we'll see what the board feels like, just to do the 2-floor, eliminate the 3rd floor, and I will be willing to entertain a variance to encroach to setbacks. Regarding the drainage, I do understand what you're saying. We will have a condition to do gutters with dry wells. So that will address the drainage issue from the gutters. Totally understand this. So how's the applicant feel? You have a 24 by 34. Say you come back with a plan 26 by 40, gives you 1-floor ranch, and then you're not invasive in the neighborhood. You know, after all, it is a variance, and the board, we do totally understand that Mr. Dominic paid a lot of money, which is irrelevant, what you pay for the lot. But it was a real hard time after he bought it, it was real hard time, recession, and things went down the hill for him. I totally understand. And that's why we have to have some compassion for the residents as well, like we're having compassion for you. So is it possible we could accommodate the neighbor, get rid of a floor, and I will be more than happy personally, we pass it by the members, to entertain a variance to encroach the setbacks.
So,
That work for you?
so you're telling me that the top floor is the 3 bedrooms? I have to get rid of that?
It's my opinion. Maybe the whole board don't agree with me. We'll pass it. Are you willing to talk about it so we could discuss it with the board?
Well, I'm trying to figure out in my mind, am I gonna have a bedroom at all?
How many square feet you have now?
In the house, I really,
Downstairs and upstairs.
I don't really know offhand.
Okay, you have 24 by 34. You have about 1,700 square feet. If you go 26 and you go another 42, if you go 1,100 square feet, 24 by 40, that will give you a nice 2-bedroom range.
Yeah, I got 6 grandchildren.
What's that?
I have 6 grandchildren that'll be coming down.
I understand.
From, you
and
know,
at the
time to
same
time.
Same time, it's a variance, and the board don't have to grant it. It's a very strong hardship to grant a variance. We want to work it out. If everybody with the neighbors were fine and dandy, we have
So I
no
gotta go
problem.
back to the architect, is that what you're saying? And,
But before you do this, let me pass it by the board, see what they think.
okay.
Walter, what do you think?
Well, I just have a couple
Ma'am, want to go back to your seat, let the applicant sit, if you don't mind?
On the building itself, the first floor is at 10 feet. Now, that's at the Back Beach onset. What's the height? The first floor is 4 feet foundation, 6 feet to the first floor. And then he's at 32 feet midway to the roof. He's not at the peak.
Right. However, all the houses there, like, they're not 34 feet, they're like 22 feet high. That's kind of invasive what the lady's saying, which is, I understand, you don't want this thing invasive. If he had built it at the time he took it down, there's nothing we could do. He could go all the way to 35 feet.
Right.
But right now, he's in the jam. So what do you think of my suggestion?
I mean, I'm probably kind of partial to it. I mean, I'm just curious what the first floor elevation needs to be if that's a flood area. It's only 10 feet.
It's at 12, has to be at 12. It says top foundation 12. I don't know
only
what,
at- he's
what's
only
the
at 10
What's
feet.
the flood elevation there?
An onset?
It's 15, isn't it?
Excuse me.
I need,
Yes.
Is this a situation where they have to put the house up like if it was
stilts.
going on stilts?
yes, yes. That's why we have the garage underneath, you're right, it's in the flood zone where that's, now across the street, down the end, all the houses are that way with the garage underneath.
No, I understand,
Okay.
but you are AE what there? I don't see anywhere. You know what flood zone you're in?
I'm not sure, maybe Ken knows. Can I see this one?
I think it's AE 15 there. There's no floods at 12 anyway. There's not, in Wareham, the lowest is 14. So you're probably at AE 15.
Maybe it's on this one.
Charlie, any idea what? flood-
You know what,
I have no idea what it is now.
It should be on JC Engineering.
It doesn't show on the JC Engineering site plan.
elevation 8,
Okay.
is that what you want, the
Yeah.
elevation?
Yeah,
8.72.
right, that's the ground elevation.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's,
But yeah, you are at 872, but you have a little problem. Oh, first floor elevation 17.75. Okay, here you go. Top of foundation 12. So what he's doing a 4 feet knee wall and your first living space at 17. Okay, which would make sense. So going back to my suggestion, what do you think?
I'd really hate to do that. You know, just for a simple reason, you know what I mean? I got this plan
I
all drawn up.
totally
that-
understand. This is totally
every-
up to you, but I
Yeah,
may.
that
I
all the
ha-
engineers seem to, other than the gutters, and that's not a problem.
I understand, but I have to warn you, let you know, if you don't get 4 out of 5, you're dead in the water. You'll have to come back from scratch with a completely different plan, or if the same plan, it'll take you 2 years to come back. So let me continue with this, with the board thing, and we go from there. Mr. Conte, what
Okay.
do you think?
I did go around the neighborhood and take a look, and from looking at the plans that I did see, it did seem like it was kind of high for that neighborhood and compared to everybody else in the neighborhood.
Okay. Veronica, what do you think?
I was actually going to suggest the same thing that the chairman suggested, that you get rid of the top floor, because I do think that your neighbors have valid points. And Mr. Conti is making the statement that he actually went through the neighborhood to specifically look. I haven't had that opportunity, but that would definitely sway how I feel about it. And if, as Mr. Conti stated, most of the houses are significantly at a lower height, then that would definitely be my response, was that you would need to get rid of that top floor.
All right, Jimmy?
I'm still foggy. The denial letter from the building inspector is for 2 reasons.
Right,
Building coverage, dimensional standards.
right.
628 dimensional standards, that's the size of the lot. We can't, there's nothing we can do about that. We're kind of saying that the lot needs to be somewhat grandfathered. It was built on, they tore it down in anticipation of rebuilding. They didn't rebuild due to the economy. Now the economy allows them to rebuild. I get that. So that leaves us with maximum building coverage. The lady that came forward and spoke disagrees with the building inspector. The building inspector doesn't find there to be any problems with setbacks, but she feels there are. So-
Ma'am, you get your turn. You gotta, nobody speaks over the other one.
So, I'm stuck on maximum building coverage, and there's been a lot of numbers thrown around. What would the allowed coverage be if you were gonna try to do this by right? How big a footprint could you get by right?
20%,
20%?
yes.
Which, and what are we giving him, and what's he asking for,
23.
So really, we're just down to the maximum building coverage.
A clarification on that, the issue is the FAR, the floor area ratio, which includes all floors, not just the first floor coverage.
So, I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
So the FAR is 25%. He's talking about all the floors.
FAR under table 628 is for a lot that's 0 to 5,000 square feet is 30%. And they're proposing it at 45%.
So in other
Okay.
words, he's
So
3,500
it's quite a
square
bit,
feet.
it's quite a bit big, it's,
So 35% times 30 at, what's that, was he allowed 30%? 20?
30.
30, so he should have 1,050. 1,050 square feet, pretty much what I said, if he
the whole,
goes
a
for
whole
rent.
floor.
He could put them on top of each other, but
Does it-
average
so-
1,100 square
So it's
feet.
starting to look like you're just asking for too much structure for this lot, this neighborhood. I understand every house in the neighborhood would have to be raised up on stilts if a hurricane came through, and everybody else would want to be building at the same height you want to build at.
Because it's weird, I mean, I took what,
I
in my
get it.
head, what I thought to this guy that drew up the plans, and that's all he does is onset.
I thought that the height requirement of the building is within the law.
You are right.
Okay.
However, for something existing and not require a variance.
I would question the height in this case, because what's shown on the elevation of in the plans is a midpoint of the roof, whereas the definition of height in the regulations say the highest structural member,
Highest
which would be the
point.
ridge
But,
line.
but even that highest point, they're still under 35 feet, I believe.
He's showing the collar ties, but besides the point,
I think the height that they have by right, but we're asking them to adjust the height, because what they don't have by right is the size
The
of the plot.
FAR.
The FAR.
the FAR and the size of the lot and the frontage.
Well, if you're making a different type of roof.
But my question is, what's the first floor elevation? Not to the ceiling of the first floor. That's 18 feet.
17.75.
It's not. It's only 10 feet to the first floor living quarter.
Right. Because he's 8, 17, 10 feet.
10 feet. So what's it for onset? All the other houses that have been built over there since have been on stilts.
Right, but he has to do stealth.
This is a stilt house. The
new
the
structure.
bottom floor is a blowout.
It's a garage, but it's
Even though they're
blowout.
showing a garage, you can put a car in there, the car won't drown, it just won't run well.
These garage doors are designed, it's not our jurisdiction, it's building commissioner has
I
to comply
understand
with FEMA.
the first floor is at 10 feet. The garage is below it.
The no.
What's the flood height, the minimum height to have that first floor?
The basement, the first floor elevation where the garage is at 8 feet. So you go up 10, you're at 18 feet. And that's over the flood elevation.
Okay,
You get that?
I got that. So above the garage, that's not living space.
Yes. Above the garage is living space.
It's a two-story house on top of a garage at grade, if you will. The garage at grade is the stilts.
I think he's not calculating the 8 feet
He's
above
not-
already.
I'm looking at the plans
Just
right
going
here.
by
It
the
says
10
4
feet.
feet, top of foundation, first floor, 6 foot, 5/8, and then 8 feet to the first floor wall height.
No, he's doing a knee wall 4 feet, Walter, I believe. He's building a wooden wall on top of the foundation. Instead of doing 12-foot foundations, concrete, he's doing 8 and continue with 4 feet of knee wall. Then he's putting his living space. You wanna see this big plans?
Yeah, let me see the big.
Come on, walk up here.
Come on. All right, I wanna continue with the idea. Jake, what do you think of my idea?
I'll put my,
I mean,
I'll put my discussion.
Let's start with
if I was the
foundation.
applicant, you know, obviously I'd be trying to do what I want to do.
He has
Um,
a,
Is there a way to shrink up the size of the house without taking away
Knee wall,
the
it
height of
becomes-
the
and
height
this
of
is
it?
17.
Just shrinking it a little bit and getting
the
more,
garage.
you know, lot coverage with that?
I'm sorry, Jake, I
Right.
missed that.
That's all right. You know, if I was the applicant, I would just want to sell the lot and get away because he wants a certain thing. So I wonder if there's a way we could just shrink the house a little bit, keep the second floor, but just make make it a little smaller, shrink it up a little bit.
We're not keeping the third floor.
That's what I'm saying.
My suggestion.
No, I'm saying keep the third floor. Is there any way to shrink the footprint of the house? to
It's,
get-
according to the neighbors, very invasive, and I do agree.
Okay.
That's why I'm willing to entertain a setback variance to go
Yeah.
to 1 story. Mr. Samples, what do you think?
Grade.
Grade is where the flood starts.
No, the flood starts
Where's his,
I-
okay.
Your
Keep it-
third
just keep
floor,
it
if
low.
there was any way of making it a loft of some type,
Can I ask you a question? Are we talking the garage first floor, second floor, third floor? Is that what we're talking? Or are you talking this is the third floor?
you're talking the living space is their third floor. It's a second floor on your, what you're
What would be
considering.
the second floor?
But the whole structure itself, the second floor, with the bedrooms, they're talking about is the third floor. They want you to do away with it. Is there any way of getting a loft?
What if I went back
I'm
to
just
the-
saying if there's any way of getting some kind of a loft to get the ridge down, make
I'm
that
just gonna
area
suggest
livable.
that to you. If I change the roof,
Yeah.
That was my question to you, is if there any way you could bring it down by lofting it some type without having the structure up in the
I
air?
can
That would be,
certainly
that's
ask
the
my
only,
guy that drew up the plans. I'm sure he could do something.
You
By
got an
by
8-12
changing the roof, maybe, you know
Drop
what I
it
mean?
down.
well, it's a little deceiving because your height is in the middle of your roof. It's at the truss height, which we're talking the ridge is your actual height that you're talking that is in dispute.
Right.
But your plans aren't showing the ridge. So if there's any way of getting from where your
So from this point
height
up,
there down and get that to be the living space, I think there's where you're,
boy, that'd be super. Okay.
that's just my
I mean,
suggestion.
I can go back to the
That's-
drawing board, sure.
That's all I'm saying, is if you, some way you can make it a
That-
loft instead of an extended area and get the right height.
Yeah,
Because
do
in
a
the
different
middle,
kind of roof,
it's
sure.
It's deceiving to show us a plan where the ridge is your actual guideline, and you're hitting in the middle of your roof.
Right.
So there's a little problem at that, and just for that. But anyway, if there's some type that you could get it down, get a loft, get your bedrooms in, that would be my feelings on this.
That would be way to go.
Did you really understand what Mr. Sample suggested, that third floor or second floor living, you're gonna get rid of it, drop down your gable on it, but you're gonna
Correct.
lose.
So I could
It's
keep
like
this,
a
I could
cape,
keep
it
the,
becomes like a cape, you're gonna lose
I
like
could keep
4
what you're calling the third floor and just redesign the roof that it comes down.
So that it's a,
straight rid of
Walls,
it.
you're gonna have slanty walls.
right, a loft rather than straight walls.
That's why I feel you could keep your bedrooms, you're just gonna be a little restricted, it won't be as high, but it just, on your plans, when.
But how about
when
if I
we
could
look
keep
at
the
it-
height and just do the roof that, you know what I mean?
Again, I don't know if you're following what I'm saying, but see how your measurements go to the middle of your roof and not
Right,
your
right
ridge?
here, right?
Yeah,
You want that at the top of the house.
I'm
You
just
do
saying,
dormers too.
when you come in, you bring the plans, and your actual height should be at your ridge height.
Right.
It's at the, looks
I
like
think
what
from
would
the
be your
ceiling
poly-
to-
looks like your ceiling height.
Yes.
Well, that ceiling height, you need to make that your ridge height, and then go from there. That's what I'm just suggesting.
Howie.
Yes. Howie?
Howie, you wanna look at this quick?
Just one step forward for a
Come
minute.
on up,
Just-
Howard.
Just don't trip over the cords. You see, give you a limbo test here. No, I'm not Jesus Christ. This is Jim talking.
Mr. Samples, that's what he suggested, so this is gonna be, you could put a couple of dormers here. You understand?
yeah, okay.
So it's gonna drop it down about 8 feet.
Right.
But then again, we would like to discuss with the neighbor if that's okay.
Okay.
All right,
can go back to the drawing board.
well, let's go back. Mrs., I'm horrible with name. Mrs., number 10, number 12.
Number 12.
Yes, Holly. If we drop it down like about 9 feet, would that be feasible for you?
So that means it would be like 26 feet high, is that what you're saying? Instead
You
of
will be looking about 24.
24?
So in other words, you won't see a third floor, but you'll see, so the gable you see now will be the third floor. It'll be like a cape style.
That would be more palatable, yes.
And then, or we go back to my suggestion and invade the setback, which is, it's not as nice as this idea that Mr. Sample suggested. Would that be okay with you?
Yes, but we would also like to see the drainage and the.
That, absolutely, this will be one of the conditions.
That's
You
not
put
a
a
problem.
dry wells for the gutters and all. Does that sound good, ma'am, Holly?
Yes.
Okay. Good idea, Mr. Samples. Is everybody on board with Mr. Samples with the idea? Okay.
am, yes.
I think
I
it's a
just,
good compromise.
can I
I could
just
draw that
get
on
some
my plan for the
clarification?
architect.
Yeah, you could draw.
You all
take
like to
this
draw
one.
what you just did on yours?
Take this one.
Okay.
What do you want to say?
I just want to have some clarification, because as Mr. Buckland had pointed out, this actual height here at 32 feet, 5 inches only goes to that ridge, right? So there's another 5 feet, so we're talking 37 feet. If he gets rid of 8, he's at 29. Is that what we're talking about?
He's 32 to the ridge. He's 32 to the collar ties.
To the collar ties, okay. So probably another 5 to the top of the roof, so we just want to be
About 4,
clear on
say.
that.
10, 12, maybe 5, yeah.
So perhaps we should put some kind of a height restriction.
Well, he's gonna drop down. You wanna keep your roof at 10?
Because-
10 pitch?
Pardon me?
He's got a 10-12 pitch there.
Because I just want to make a comment that Walter, Mr. Cruz had made a comment, which is a great idea as well. You could put dormers there. So that roof could come down, even if it were significantly pitched, you could have dormers.
So change your pitch to 7 or 8.
Or 8.
That'll
Okay.
gain
We
another
already
50.
gave him dormers in our
House
conversation
next to
about
it's an 8 with no gutters.
Oh, okay.
We already dormered it. We brought,
That's the one to the right. I know the neighborhood very well.
Here, why don't you take this plan?
Okay.
All right.
So we're looking to get rid of how many feet from the roof to the top?
This is what you're gonna tell your architect, draw it like this, okay? Don't use more than 92.58 studs here, don't use 8 feet studs, 92.58 will give you 8 foot. Don't go
Okay.
over, so it'll gain you about 6 inches. Put your wall here, make some dormers, and make it 8 pitch, then you're at 24 feet,
Okay.
all right?
So I gotta stay at 24 feet.
Maximum.
Okay.
What
To
you
the
wanna
collar tie or
see,
to the ridge? I'm sorry.
check your flood elevation, I think you at,
Nazir, you talk about for the collar tie or to the ridge?
to the ridge,
To the ridge, to the top.
check your flood elevation and do the minimum. So
Okay.
don't go another foot above the flood. I'll check the flood elevation next time.
Okay. So I have to submit this back to the building department?
yeah,
No.
we're gonna continue, we're gonna,
To your
I'm gonna
architect.
make a motion that we continue and allow you to come back with a revised plan.
Okay.
1 minute. Check with your architect, not the building department.
Right. But I mean, who do I come back with the plans to?
Why don't you email it to Mr. Buckland before
my
the
office.
next hearing?
And zoning?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
He email it to me, I'll comment.
Okay.
All right, and to the rest of the board. How's that?
All right.
So you don't come for nothing next time.
All right.
Yes, Holly?
Well, just two things. One is, could somebody who knows how to calculate it better than me tell me what the FAR would end up as with this change?
The what?
The FAR?
The FAR has not changed.
Well, to your, yes, it did, because it is not a full floor.
Right.
So the FAR, he's right now proposing 45. How the banks look at it and how the town calculate it, when you have a cape style, you don't measure the whole thing. You gotta deduct like 4 feet from each end. So 4 feet times 34 twice, so you're looking about, I used to do this by my head. 34 times 2 times 4.
it would
So
be,
he's losing about 300 feet, which is significant. So the FAR might be dropped, it looks like to 38%. Unless you want me to figure it out and tell you exactly.
Excuse me.
About 300 feet.
For your edification, basically what we're doing is we're playing, let's make a deal here. By right, he can build at the height he wanted to build at. We understand that you have a problem, so we're saying, let's give and take.
No, I understand.
So he's brought his roof down, but we found a way to allow him to have multiple stories and numbers of bedrooms. The rooms may get a little bit smaller on the second floor, but they'll, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian.
Love it.
And vegetarian, and pigs eat the same thing as vegetarians.
I understand that's what we're doing. I just have to be able to, let Ralph at number 8 know what you all are talking about. And the other question I have is the fact that,
could you use the microphone? to
Yeah,
help
you
out?
gotta, if you wanna speak a lot, come forward. It's gotta be on record. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to start over, or?
Good, yeah.
So I understand what you were saying. I just need to be able to report back to the other abutter about what you all have been discussing. And then my only other concern that nobody has addressed is that building a house on this size house, whether it is shorter than what what you originally saw, does not promote moderate density of that residential district. It is, I feel, an extreme density. Most of Onset is at extreme density, and I thought the whole point of the section 211.2, number 4, says it's intended, the OV2 district is intended to promote moderate density, and nobody has really addressed that, because it's still going to be a big house on a small, tiny lot. It's supposed to be a 10,000-foot lot for a brand-new house. I understand all of the concerns about that, the economy and them not being able to do it, but, it still is a lot of property for a small lot. And I would like to hear the board address that, too.
So can I get a little bit of clarification from you?
Sure.
What size house would you like to see here? Because you have said several times that it's 10,000 square feet. This is clearly not 10,000 square
Right.
feet for a new build, as it would be.
Right,
So
no, I understand.
what size house are you thinking should be on this lot?
Well, I think it would be better to have a shorter house and one that didn't take as much of the FAR and the maximum building coverage. What I read for lots 0 to 5,000 is that the FAR is supposed to be 25%. You said 30%, but, I understand
What size lot is this?
3,600.
3,600.
Current regulations say 30%, anything under
Okay,
50.
all right.
Right.
Then I misread that. I don't have an exact amount. I'm not an architect, I'm not a builder. I just know that this house is big, and I think it's still going to be big there, even with this. I appreciate the compromise that you all have been trying to make, but you're not addressing my point about moderate density versus extreme density.
We would like to, which is why I would like to know what size you would consider, because obviously I don't think that the applicant wants to be in court over this if this moves forward. I think we all want to agree and come to a compromise. We're trying to compromise, and we've talked about making the height smaller. But clearly that's not meeting your need. So we need to know what your need is, and if you can figure that out a little bit more clearly, maybe we can.
She could come
Work
back
with
to
you.
the next meeting, too.
Well,
Okay.
but, they are meeting the, I would say, I would like to see them meet the frontage then, that is supposed to be 50 feet. That
So-
would make their house a little bit narrower, so that there is.
You can't make the lots, the frontage is the frontage, it's 40 feet.
Right, it's, right, so then their house, could be a little bit smaller, since they can't make the
The
frontage any
problem,
bigger.
let me explain something. He's allowed by right, the FAR, 1,080 square feet. So the way we cut them down becomes 1,224. So he's adding about, whatever, like 150 feet, 154
I think
feet.
it may come down to the depth.
144 feet he's asking, so an additional like 10%. If he makes the house narrower, I'm a builder, I understand. If you go under 24 feet, it becomes very, very hard to cut the house inside to do partition. The problem, we make narrower, then his FAR gets smaller, then he's gonna go back to go higher.
I'm gonna go higher, right.
You understand? So I believe either Mr. Sampo's suggestion, which he's agreed to, so it looks like a cape, but unfortunately, because he's in a flood zone, you have 9
Right,
feet
no, I
losses.
understand.
Regardless, this is not up to us or the building department, it's up to federal government. He has to meet these heights. So either you wanna go with you don't have to go with anything. My suggestion, the ranch or Mr. Samples, get rid of the second floor and drop the gable down and make it the second floor.
Is the ranch less high?
The ranch, well, basically, no,
about the
because
same?
my idea of ranch would still have to have a gable roof, so
Right,
we're still
yeah.
back to Mr. Samples' idea. Actually, yeah, Mr. Samples' idea is better, because he's, in other words, Mr. Samples' idea, they're gonna use the attic as a living space. You understand? So get rid of a whole floor.
I just think that you had three criterias. We dealt with two of them. We're gonna do the drainage, and we're knocking it down.
Right. No, I understand, and I understand that moderate versus, extreme
it's-
is very subjective, but I do think it might be something that the board ought to look at, what the intent of that really is. Maybe not with this situation so much, but just going forward.
I totally agree with you, and I have to say, Mr. Samples' idea is a lot better idea than mine, because we're keeping the same footprint he's asking, and we're getting a whole floor. If you wanna go with my idea, you're gonna have
No,
bigger
I thought it
footprint.
was, I thought it made sense.
Right.
So,
And the house drops 13 feet in height, 37 to 24.
And Nazi, on that street, the houses on either side of that lot are 2 stories. The house to the right is a white house that had several additions added to it. So, I mean, he should be here representing himself, the way I feel, but
well, that's me.
it's gonna fit right with,
that's-
it's gonna fit
that's
right in the
the
same
house.
height.
Yeah, that's me.
That's Holly.
That's that house,
Yeah,
right?
that's me.
Yes.
I'm here representing myself, number 12.
She could speak for the
Okay,
neighbor,
that's
she
fine.
has a letter,
Yep.
that's okay.
And Ralph asked me to speak for him because he's in quarantine right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
he offered to be available by cell phone, Walter.
Right.
But it's right in the same heights of the houses in there. They average probably 24, 28 feet
Yeah,
Correct.
no, I think it's,
on
I think,
13th.
The other thing I'd like to bring to the board is, but 5 blocks around, every single lot is 3,600 square feet.
That's 5 blocks around.
It's all the same. There isn't a lot that's different from
We understand.
11th Street
All the way to
to
the
the
end.
North Boulevard. Every single lot is the exact same size. Same size as yours.
I know.
Is the same size as ours. So if you go on the other side of the street, or the other side of Crescent Park, there's some big houses there. Same lot size. I'm not saying what we're doing is right or wrong, how we want to do the compromise, but, everyone's dealing with the same lot size there.
We understand.
Okay, go ahead.
All right,
And can I just make one
Yeah,
point
go ahead.
as well? In terms of frontage, what you'll find in the zoning laws is that the setback will take the average of the
Yeah, no, I
5.
didn't have any issue with the setback.
not the setback,
not
she's
what you're
talking about the size, the width of the lot.
Right.
The current bylaw would call for a 50-foot of frontage, and he has 40 foot of
okay.
frontage.
Actually, I did
So
have
she
an issue
feels
with
as
the
though-
setback, but I chose not to raise it
All right.
because if you've seen the houses there, it's crazy.
all right, Holly, I'm gonna cut
To
you short, we have a
discuss, so-
long night.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
listen,
All right.
for the next hearing, it's gonna be, you will not get notified in the mail, it will be the 14th.
Okay,
October 14, you will not get any notification, so make sure you're here if you wanna discuss the case. You guys will be able to come back on the 14?
Yes.
And
All
will
right,
we
let's
be
get-
able to see the plans
Yes,
before then?
he'll bring in new
Okay.
plans.
All right.
Can we get a motion to continue to the 14th?
So moved.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Before we do so, do we want to include everything that we need the architect to put on these plans so that he's not coming back and forth in terms of drainage?
I was just gonna say
Or
if
do
I
we
could
wanna do
have
that
somebody
Do
that
his
I can.
homework, if he doesn't cut himself short, that's his
He'll
problem.
come
So
back
do your
again.
homework right.
Okay.
But is there
You
somebody?
heard, you heard the concerns, so if you come back here and show us plans with gutters and downspouts, we won't have to tell you, go back and draw a plan
Well,
with
all
gutters
right,
and
yes,
downspouts.
I already told
You've
her
been
that's not a
listening, right?
problem.
You know. I
But
get it, the
everybody's
lights
saying
are on. I
40
can
feet
see-
on the
I can look in
frontage.
your
Yeah,
eyes and
40.
see that the lights are
I
on.
have 45 on the front.
It's okay, doesn't matter.
Okay.
So make sure your architect does a good job and go to the
When I
expert.
go to the architect and he needs to ask anybody a question, is there a certain person we
Mr.
call?
Buckland, and he referred
Tony.
to us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
So
thank
are you good for the 14?
You got it.
All right, we have a motion by Jim to continue to 14. Do I have a second?
6:30?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Second by Veronica. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose,
you all very
abstain.
much.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Charlie.
much.
Thank you.
Blue folders to
Thank
the
you.
center, to Ken, please.
Does somebody want these letters that I wrote?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
please.
we'd like them for the
Hand
file.
them over there and they'll pass them down.
You want to pass it over?
Thank you.
All right, let's move forward. Here you go, Kenny.
So that's continued.
This has already been done, this has been okayed, this.
That's continued to what date? 10/14?
Where is the signature for 10 Jordan Road?
Oh my God, it's so hot with this mask on.
Did you get it back? You gave it back? Hold on one sec. No.
No, I signed, not exactly, I just signed what sent to me.
Is that about 13 over Jordan Road? Sorry, mark that one up.
What's next?
That's 13 Jordan too. All right, very good. Let's move.
Mannix.
23-20 for 6 West Boulevard. Yeah, it's going. Sandwich Road is going, but we just want, sir.
Downstairs on the first floor over on that side.
No, it's gonna, we're gonna hear it, but we're gonna let the small hearings go by, so not everybody, don't have everybody to wait. Yeah, no, we're not going nowhere. We're trying to accommodate everybody, that's all.
So what are you doing?
We're just taking them off order, leaving the big one to the end.
Sandwich Road next, or you?
No. We're gonna do
West Boulevard?
West Boulevard.
Okay, that's all. I'm sorry, I'm reading it.
All right, you guys wanna be quiet, please?
The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on September 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 PM in the room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 2320 for 2 special permits and/or variance from the requirements of Article 6, Table 622, Table 628, and Article 13, Sections 1335, under the Wareham zoning bylaws for David Haberstad of 11 Sunset Avenue, Wareham, Mass., proposing renovations in addition to an existing dwelling at 6 West Boulevard, Wareham, Mass., Assessors Map 1, Lot 519, in the OV2 zoning district.
All right, name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm attorney Jillian Morton here for Dave Haberstadt and Amanda Cobb, the owners of 6 West Boulevard.
Okay. All right, you wanna tell us what you doing?
Sure, so my clients are seeking a special permit on their property. We tried to create some visual aids here for you. Some of you might be familiar with the property. It was the old carriage house in town where they had the taxis. There was a clam shack at one point, and also had horses. So this property here, you can see on the front that it was the horse stalls, but those aren't usable garage doors or anything like that. So my clients are seeking special permit to have a garage in the back, no living space, just simply to have a spot actually to put one car or a boat. And they're here before you now, kind of in a predicament. They moved forward under the old building inspector, and then were hit with the stop work order. And the new building inspector asked them for a special permit, so we're here seeking your opinion and your approval of the project. We have a timeline of the different events. The builder is here as well, so we're really here procedurally to try to see as far as the project. You can see at the denial letter, he's looking at the different ratios, and we just talked about the onset property, so you're familiar with the appropriate existing and what we're proposing, and that's also on the large poster in the back as well.
So, I went look at it today. He wants to build a garage on the back and access from Longwood.
That's right.
All right,
Yep,
and you
that's right.
need a special permit for this or a variance?
Special permit. If not detrimental to the neighborhood. In your packet.
You just said and or a variance on the thing,
I always
just
just
in
say
case.
that, but I just noting, we'll
All right,
talk
okay,
about.
I get you.
Just covering yourself in case
I
somebody
cover myself,
disagrees with
that's
you.
right.
Smart idea.
In the packets that you have, we have 5 letters
Yeah.
4 from abutters and 1 actually from the fire. That was important. My client, I think this is off, but client is on the fire committee as well, so understanding the egress and if there was a situation there, them being able to get in. So I'll have you take a look at those. Actually, the direct abutter is here tonight as well, has no problem with the project. So happy to answer any questions, and the clients are here as well.
Okay, that's an existing non-conforming lot?
That's right.
All right, so very good. So it's an existing non-conforming. They want to extend the non-conformity. If the board feels it's not detrimental to the neighborhood, we could address it as a special permit. If not, will be a variance. I'm going to start by Mr. Cruz. What do you think, Walter?
No, that's all right, I think it happens. I have no comment, I know the property well.
Okay. Mr. Conti?
So the existing building that you have, the carriage house there, is there living quarters? Is that living quarters?
No one has ever lived in it, although it's been in the residential OV2 forever, since there was an OV2. And originally, it was a carriage house for the town, for the carriages, like a taxi, to take people to services and to the,
So you don't live in this building?
no one has
No.
ever lived in it.
It's an art studio, is that
Yes.
correct?
That's right. Ms. Cobb is an artist and intends to, the thriving art community here in Onset and revive this property back to its glory, as you can see, and have the art studio in there.
I don't have any more questions right now.
Veronica? Question?
No questions at this time.
Jimmy?
So that's interesting. I always drove by it and wondered. So this was erected as a horse barn, and they,
It was owned by
it was a
the,
taxi service before the ICE, the internal combustion engine, and we're
yeah,
going back a couple days.
sort of, just
You
a
remember it?
little earlier than me.
A little earlier than you. So it's never been lived in, and you're turning it into a residence and adding a garage.
Yes.
Okay, I've always driven by it and wondered. I never knew it was an old taxi barn.
And
Okay.
at one time, it was,
The Historical
sorry.
Society hasn't attacked you yet, have they?
no, it was later than that, but
Okay,
it looks older than it really is.
All right.
thank you.
All right, Mr. Samples?
No questions at this time?
Jake?
No questions.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience want to speak in favor of this project? Against? All right, I hear none. Ken, do you have any comment on this project?
No, I don't. It's just, I hope the action can be taken swiftly on this one because it's been held up for a while.
I understand. Okay, any board comments you guys want to discuss before we, if no comments, we'd like to close.
So moved.
All right, hearing no comments, close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jake. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain. Now, okay, now we have to act. If the board feels, the board feel is not detrimental to the neighborhood, we could give them relief from section 1335 and act as a special permit. So what the board feels.
We need to find that it's not,
Detrimental.
Not
to the-
Not
Detrimental.
substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
and then it's a special permit.
Correct.
And I can't see that it's detrimental to the neighborhood in any manner, shape, or form, so I move that we treat this as a special permit.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, do I have a second?
Walter Cruz, second.
Okay,
glad to-
Walter,
I'm glad to
second
see
this.
it
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose, abstain. So it's a special permit. Now, what's the wishes?
I have a question.
Yeah,
Is it okay, we all vote?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Just didn't make, I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
What's that?
We have a five-member vote, so the five.
You can vote, say yes.
His question is in general, not specific to this. When there's all seven members here, the five full members do the voting, and the associates can ask questions, et cetera, but only the five full members vote. In
But
the
you can say
absence-
yes, it
in the-
helps.
In the absence of a full member, then you're named and you're voting and signing. Got that? Okay. It's, when there's new members, we take the time to answer the questions, you know.
Okay, so it's a special permit. So what's the wishes now? Any discussion on that?
I don't see any really good reason to belabor this. There don't seem to be any questions. I make a motion to approve as presented with standard conditions and let these people get on their way.
Walter Cruz, second.
Okay, second by Walter. All in favor with the standard condition, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain. Thank you. Carries.
Good night.
Mayor, you understand there's, the decision is filed with the town clerk. There's a 20-day appeal period after that, at which time, during that which time you're at risk if you want to proceed with the construction.
Your attorney will handle that.
We
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You
you
have
for
a good
coming
night.
in.
I can take that if you don't want.
Can we sign it? You writing? Yeah.
We usually do, and then he just gets rid of them. So then we don't have a big... If you want it, you just...
You on double duty here tonight?
He likes
Well, it's
all our
nice.
trash.
It's nice, you don't have to get up and...
Somehow mine gets cleaned out all the time anyway.
Why don't you put him on that one? Or you won't get my vote. I can't see. There we go.
Sandwich roast, it's not sandwich
The zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing on September 23rd, 2020.
All right, gentlemen, ladies, want to sit down, be quiet, please?
Just put it all together.
At 6:30 PM in room 320 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to consider petition number 2220 for a variance and site plan review under the requirements of Article 6, Sections 623 and 625, and Article 15 under the Wareham zoning bylaws for Frederick C. Mannix of 188 North Street, Boston, Mass., proposing an assisted living facility at 23 and 238 and 240 Sandwich Road, Wareham, Mass., Assessors Map 133, lots 1100A and 1101A in the CS zoning district.
All right, name and address for the record for everyone.
Hey there, I'm attorney Jillian Morton here for Frederick Mannix, the trustee of the PJM Realty Trust, and he's here as well. And we're here seeking variances in front of the board tonight, as well as noticing that we're in front of you for these variances, looking for site plan review.
Is this Mr. Frederick?
This is Frederick
All
here,
right,
and this
very
is
well.
architect Lydia.
And what's your address, sir?
That's Fred Mannix. It's 188 North Street, Boston, Mass.
Okay, very well. All right, let's hear it.
So we're here, I just want to start the presentation seeking an order of looking at these items.
Yeah.
There's several items up for, we understand that this is a probably multi-hearing, understanding that we want to know your opinions regarding the project, seeking feedback from the community, from you as the board members, what you want to see and what you like. And really starting again from the place of a height variance and a setback variance. Understanding under the regulations that we're seeking those and then wanting to move forward with you being the site plan review rather than the planning board kind of all in one. So I invite you to look at the plans. I hope you've had an opportunity to look at the different drawings we have there for a shot. I know there'll be questions regarding the different agencies, fire, Board of Health, things like that. So Fred, would you like to talk a little bit about your background and why you're doing this project, the land itself?
Well, we've had this property for a while, and it's taken a while to get to this point. In discussions with the town the past couple of years about what's needed and what can be done in that property, we first talked about elderly housing, and then we decided to see if we could do something with assisted living. We think it's a need in the town, and there's a concept for this whole plan that has become timely with COVID-19 and some of the things that have occurred in people that are at risk. So my original concept for the plan was to put a building in there that had a solarium. I thought that that would be a great thing for this location. It faces due south, and it's Sandwich Road. It's a big, wide open road, and if you put a solarium on the roof, you're going to get people, they're going to feel like Florida in the middle of winter, you know, and the sun would come in there. We also talked about making some kind of a facility that would be assisted living and be close to Toby Hospital. And it's, again, it's timely. Toby Hospital is expanding, and it's a good location, I think. What we did, we have a couple of things here, but we also have
Yeah, so
a
it's an
handout that
additional
goes along
supplement.
with this
Yeah.
more or less presentation. With the stuff behind me, I know it's kind of difficult to see. So we reproduced the three boards. I brought 7, I brought 8. I don't know how many people would be looking at it, but if maybe you could share something. I think there's enough there.
If you brought 7, we're close.
Yeah, you can have mine. I mean, it's, if I don't know this by heart now, I've got a problem, so.
So,
Different from these?
do you mind, through the chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
For my familiarization with the property, Sandwich Road, on the corner of Sandwich Road and the divided section of, where 6 meets 28.
Right.
Right there on the corner, there's a little tiny real estate office.
Upper Cape
So
Realty.
would you people mind, I'm trying to talk, and it's hard for me to hear what you're saying while I'm talking. And actually, you should be listening, not talking. Thank you. Let me start over again, so that anybody in the room that didn't hear what I was asking, that might need to hear it, would hear it. Where Route 6 and 28 marry, there at the corner, there's a little tiny real estate office, a little Cape-style building.
Right.
And then there's some vacant land, and there's a yellow house with plywood on the windows and all that. Is the yellow house with the plywood on the windows part of this property?
The yellow house is part of the property, and it forms, it's at the west end of the property. At the east end of the property is Upper Cape Realty. And
The little real estate office.
the little real estate
that I
office you're
said,
speaking
yeah.
about.
And that, okay, now I know exactly where you are.
And what I did along that line is the first thing you see on the little handout we gave you is a location.
Google map.
You know, it's a Google photo. And what I did was we put a 1 mile radius and a 2 mile radius circle of the property
I see it.
to kind of show where the property's located. And it, you know, Toby Hospital's within 2 miles, and there's a whole bunch of stuff within a mile. Onset Beach, there's a lot of stuff that is a good amenity for this kind of a project, you know. Assisted living is for people who are still capable of living on their own. And, you know, we feel that this would be a good location for somebody like that. What I did is on the second page is I just took a closer photo of it, and I showed approximately the different elevations around this property. And as most of you know from being around that area, that Route 28 is on the east side of the property. It forms a triangle, as you can see in the second photo. Route 28 is elevated by approximately 14 feet at the property line. We use 0. The lowest point of the property is the 0 on that chart. And Plymouth Road is about 16 feet above the 0 mark. And you can see that the land sits in a bit of a hollow. It slopes from west to east. And the building is designed, and the concept is to allow the building to use the land and not really change any of the contours of the land. There's very little, probably 6 inches at most, from the existing contours. It's kind of hard to see, it's overgrown, but that's the plans that you have in front of you, Mr. Chairman, show all the elevation lines. We have a concept of parking inside the building. There's room for 49 cars in the basement of this building. So all the cars, basically, that needed by the residents and staff could be in the building. There's room for, I believe we have another, 15 or 16 cars on the outside. None of the parking is in the front of the building. We tried to avoid having any kind of parking in front of the building. The building is set back approximately 30 feet from the road, and there's a driveway and a planting area. little more to what I'm showing you on this photo, there's a lot of trees there. A lot of stuff you see is kind of scrub brush. It's not fully forested like this, but there are quite a few mature trees that we intend to keep and utilize in the final landscape plan. The landscape plan that you have is indicative of what our intention is, but it's not final. In fact, none of the plans that are submitted to you on the site, they're not final plans. They're pretty close to what we want to do. But we did that in order to involve the fire department in the access for the fire truck, more specifically the ladder truck. So that design is you'll see something on there showing the ladder truck and fire access, and safety is a big issue, of course, with this kind of a development. Now, what we did, we had a meeting, what was it, last week, Julian? To have a discussion about certain things that the town may want to see. And Chris Smith from the fire department, came up with a couple of suggestions that we've incorporated. They haven't been finalized yet, in the drawings. So I guess the intention that I have anyhow is to come before the board at a public hearing, just to see if we can hear from the public about the project and see what the board feels about the project. I didn't intend to come in here tonight to get an approval, certainly. I think that that's one of the reasons I want to make sure that we have an understanding of how the board feels about what we're trying to do, and then continue on and incorporate any suggestions that the public may have, the board may have, that are feasible, and that in keeping what we're trying to do. So I don't know if there's any more I can.
No, I would just say
add
it's
to that.
important to note that the variances that we're seeking is a height variance and a setback variance. And on the denial letter from the building inspector, you see that he's seeking those. And by right, we could have actually not had the solarium and had it lower and not had the setback and just gone in for the planning for site plan review. But it is important that the board, we want to know the input. So that's why we're here.
Where the setback?
It's the accessory building, Chairman. On the side, it's a 3-foot, in my opinion, nominal setback we're looking at.
On the east side of the property,
It's not a big one.
yeah, some of the design, excuse me, Julian.
Yep.
Some of the design criteria, for me anyhow, was to take a separate maintenance building, staff building, again, it became timely. I didn't know this was going to happen to the country. But a few years ago, I decided that if we had any kind of living quarters there, I do a lot of work with, I'm the capital project manager for Berkeley College. I do a lot of work, we do dormitories and stuff like that. And we try to separate chemicals and things like that from places of habitation. So we decided to put a second building on the property to house the snowplows and equipment and keep it away from the neighborhood and from site. That's what that is. The second building, we want to put it 7 feet away from the side lot line at that location in order for the ladder truck to be able to maneuver more effectively. There's room for the ladder truck, but it would be easy if they had another 3 or 4 feet to back up when they come out. A fire lane was put in the back of this building. It's not required by the code because of the size of the building to have a rear fire lane, but we discussed it with the Wareham Fire Department, and they thought it would be a good idea to have one. And I agree with that, so we can access the back of the building with the ladder truck. And there's no way to do it except if you back up, and we want to move that building over. I think we have some verbiage in there, but the building that we're talking about is basically against an embankment on Route 28. It doesn't affect, side lot requirements try to keep people separated, from one neighbor to another, but there's really no neighbor. It's Cranberry Highway. And we don't feel that that's an encroachment on the community. The most important thing, I guess, and the most outstanding thing is that we're asking for quite a height variance. If you look at it very quickly, I'm looking for 29 more feet, which it's outrageous.
How many feet?
30 feet, 29 feet.
29
This
feet
image is
more
pretty
than what's
helpful.
allowed. So
Yeah.
let me segue into that so that I don't get thrown out of the room too soon. But
What's that, 35 feet, the height?
Yeah, so the green is allowed Yellow is above, and then really the top,
No way.
the spire, right? Is that what you were calling it, of the solarium?
Yeah, what happens is, Mr. Chairman, is the height is 40 feet is the allowed height in that area. It's a commercial zone, CS. And we're allowed 40 feet. The average of the grade is how they calculate it. So in effect, the building is 37 feet high in actuality, but it's considered 39 feet high for purposes of the code. So I'm calling it 40 feet. And the solarium, and I'll explain it, and I have it in front of you, if you
I've seen
care,
enough.
bear with me for a minute.
So before you go there, I have one more question. The garage under, it's under the entire building,
Yes.
and there'll be no basement under that, I assume?
No basement, no.
And you're using the topography of the land? If you filled the topography and put the garage under as if it was a basement, would you be losing 10 of those 40 feet?
Yes, I'd have
Okay,
to
that's
have to
my
put a
only
ramp.
que-
Yeah,
go ahead, go with your-
That's the answer. Yeah, I get you. I was trying to figure out what you were asking me. But yes, if it were a fill versus a cut. My engineer told me that he's never seen a project that didn't require any cut and fill, and I told him this probably hasn't lived long enough to see it, because he's got
Why
one.
you wouldn't do the parking underground?
Well, because it gives me more capacity. I think, being elderly myself, it's nice to be
The
able to pull in.
parking, how is it giving you more
Parking's under the
capacity?
building.
It's under the building.
Right, but why don't you go under the ground with it?
We have enough parking space to do, Mr. Chairman, we have 49 spaces in that building, so that,
Right, but you cut the height dramatically if you go underground.
no, if...
Like a basement, but it'd be
it-
parking.
Yes, but at the west side of the building, it is underground. At the east side, you can enter it. If you look at there's about a 12-foot differential between the west side of the building and the east side of the building. And we've left the topography alone. So you
Okay.
can drive in. It's like a raised ranch type of thing, you know, that
So one side of the parking is buried, one is not?
one is buried and one is not, exactly. The building, as it sits, if you looked at that building right now, you can see it on that photo I gave you. Just on Sandwich Road, it goes from, I put 0 as the bottom of
Right.
the lot. That's the lowest
Okay.
point. It goes 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet. It goes up to 16 feet on Plymouth Road. It goes to Plymouth Road. So it goes basically from 0 to 16 feet high. And by leaving that alone, it stays exactly the same. Everything stays the same. The loom has to be stripped. I mean, there's certainly site work to be done. But the as-built condition and the built condition would be very, very close. So we did it that way. I thought it would make a natural thing. And what I was going to try to show you, we have a...
Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I wanted to
Sorry,
get that
no,
clear in my head
I
before you...
probably better to interrupt me every now and then. That's what my wife says. So, here's a picture of the building, the first handout we gave you. Goes along with this flash pad here. So this is a view of the building that you see on the first page of it's taken at Sandwich and Plymouth Road, if you were standing there.
Sandwich in Plymouth. So you're standing looking towards the east.
On the corner.
Towards east, yeah, you sit in the corner of Plymouth Road and Sandwich, roughly, and you're looking over. And this would be and I could show the rest of the people this. This would be the look you would get if you were standing on the opposite side. And, why don't I do this for the audience behind me, just do it this way. So there's a view of the building. What you're seeing there on that view is the 40-foot high mark. The fence that you see up there, and you see a little bit of something in the background, that's the tower that you would see from the road. And what we have, what I call it a tower, it's like a spire. The tower, you come out of the elevator on the floor plan, and you have this 36 by 36 room. I don't know how big this room is, but it's not quite as long as this room, it's wider. And that would be the hinge point of the solarium. So what happens is the solarium goes to the east, and it's about 75 feet long. And then there's when you head north from that tower, you end up with this, we show on the plan 3 big rooms. We don't know exactly what they're gonna be, but it'd be an exercise room, it'd be some kind of a room for people to gather. There's no living up on that floor. This is just strictly a solarium and a gathering spot. And again, with the tower, what we did, you can see in this drawing, there's a perspective showing how high the tower is. There'd be no ceiling in the tower, it'd be like a big steeple, wide open. So it's probably, let's say it's 40 feet wide and 30 feet tall. It's a big space, dramatic space. And again, with the COVID-19 situation, not to keep harping on that, but it gives a lot of air. It's a healthy space. It gives you a lot of volume for a very little footprint. And what I did was to try to explain it to everybody is to show green, yellow, and red. Green is by the code.
By right.
By right, 40 feet high. So the building could be built in the green area. The yellow is the solarium, and I have all the different projections and the footages on the side here. But the concept is, and I don't know, Walter, I'm sorry if you can see it. The concept is to have the solarium, that's about 9 feet high, which is gives me 8 feet above the code requirement. So this yellow portion is roughly 48 feet high at the midpoint. You gotta remember, I'm talking about the average grade. And earlier, as people were talking about the height of a building is to the ridge line and to the gable. Well, this is to the top. And what I did, this is approximately 30% of the roof area is the solarium. This yellow portion, if you looked at it on plan view, would be 30%, roughly. The tower, which goes up another 19 feet, it's a gable end, it's a peak. That's the part that really penetrates the envelope. And that part there is about 1% of the roof area. We don't need the tower, but I would like the tower for 2 reasons. Number one, I think it's healthier, it makes a nice space. Talking to different architects, we have an architect, Lydia has done all this for the envelope. I've been talking to architects that do nothing but this kind of work. And the trend now is to have people, make sure that there's plenty of places for people to walk inside the building, make this a gathering spot that looks dramatic and looks pleasant and it's very nice to be in. So this tower would basically be a lot of glass facing south and west.
Would it be a glass roof?
No, that's impractical, but I think it would be going too far. The solarium, however, has a 45 degree, it has I guess I want to call it a greenhouse roof.
Greenhouse effect.
Greenhouse effect, yeah. And I personally built a house myself in Wareham, Mass, and due south, and we put big windows in the back, and it's fantastic in the middle of January. It's just great. I can't say enough about it. You know, the heat's on, and it's about 80 degrees with the sun. Now at night it gets cold, but it's really nice and pleasant to be there. So that's the whole idea of this project. Aside from the base project, if you will, in the green, which was a pretty standard building. We don't have a lot of detail in the drawings as yet because I'm looking for the dimensional requirements to be okayed. And then we will go on and finish things like, Mr. Rowley has gotten some plans and he's noted that they're not complete. We know that. They're not complete because we don't feel that we should complete them to a point until we get the input of everybody that talks about it. Earlier, people were talking about gutters and runoff, and I know the public has some questions, I'm sure, about something this size. We don't feel that it's big, but we don't feel that it's too big, and because it's kind of in a hollow, I don't think it's going to stand out too much, especially with Plymouth Road being high and Route 28 being high. It won't look like it's, you can't forget it because I want you to approve it, but you forget the spire. If this is 48 feet tall, I think the code is talking about a flat piece of land when they talk about the code. They want something that sticks out of the ground 40 feet, no more than that. We're not going to be really sticking out of the ground. We're probably, if you look at it through my eyes, which I hope you do, you will see that the intent of the code is being met, even by the solarium. And without the solarium, it becomes just another facility. And I think this is a nice amenity to have. And we think we've had some conversations. I think with the Council on Aging, people can interact between other places in the city and use that, I don't know if there's gonna be weddings and bar mitzvahs there, but, you know, the point is we can have some interaction with other facilities and people can gather safely. If it's 75 feet long, and I believe it's about 25 feet wide upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, you know, it's a nice, long space, everybody can,
Some church could rent it.
yeah, and, you know,
Well, you gotta
I
speak
don't know, we don't have an operator, a question came up about the operator, but, you know, really, what happens, I guess I'll finish my thing on the operation of the place, that, about 75-25 is the percentage, they want a memory care on this, they like to keep the people still there. So, using 100 units as just a base point, 75 would be standard, and 25 would be a memory. And what happens is, in the memory care units, there's some configurations, obviously none of them have kitchens. So you could get more units, but less space, because they want to be like little hotel rooms. And what we did with the sewer department, when we first thought about this, we put a cap on it at 14,080 gallons, which is 128 bedrooms. So it didn't matter if it's 128 bedrooms, the sewer capacity limits the size of the building. There's no other, I don't know how else to limit it. I don't know how many bedrooms they're gonna be, but they can't be more than 128, because I don't have the sewer capacity in there. The sewer department has more capacity, but that's all we asked for, and again, it limits what we can do there.
How many rooms you proposing?
Right now, this, I believe, is 86 rooms as it's drawn.
86
and-
units.
Pardon me? 86 units.
And what's the unit, what's in it? A bedroom, a studio, bath, how's?
No, what they are, what the trend again, in this kind of a facility is to make someone have like a one-bedroom privacy area. They're not studios, because there's no privacy places for, you know, for people to be. So we've basically put mostly one-bedroom units. There's a couple of units there. It could be, there's 2 or 3 units that are more, three. I'm glad I brought the architect. And what we did in the end, we put porches. If you look carefully at the plan, there's at the end of the east end of the building, there are porches at each end, open spaces with a community room, it says. And that's like if you're in a hospital and you're visiting someone, you have a little room to go to be private. We thought they would have one of those on each floor at the far end. People could gather there and stuff like that. I don't know how much people want to gather, again, with these conditions, but we put that in there. There's a little common space in each floor. At the Alzheimer's wing, which would probably be the wing down below, Alzheimer's requires to be on the first floor only. That you can't have people with memory care issues on the upper floors for evacuation purposes. So that whole wing on the from the hinge point to the east could become an Alzheimer's wing. It could be I don't want to say cordoned off, but it could be isolated, or it could be put as part of the system. We also designed it so that there's only one point of entry. There's 2 big elevators. We made the rooms, we made this plan with 8-foot wide corridors, which we did that because that's elderly housing, and hospitals want 8-foot wide corridors. We weren't going for that, but we did it, and as it turns out, now people can be a 2-way corridor, because you know, you get that 6-foot separation if this continues. We didn't know this was going to happen, but it works out good with the design. So and it's a design that's it's being worked on, and what I'd like to do with the board and the neighbors is get an idea of how they feel about the project. I think it's a good use for the project. It's an allowed use, and it's right down the street from Toby Hospital. It's a residential use. It's not a commercial use, and it's a neighborhood that has some residents in it. And it also is a neighborhood that's in a major highway, so we don't have a lot of traffic issues going through neighborhoods. And I think it would be a boon to the town to have it. Certainly, it's a coming requirement of everybody. Everyone's getting older, and everyone's going to be looking for these services. So I think it's something that the town could use, and I certainly would like to do it.
Let me ask you a question. How, if I ask Ken, how do you guys come up or how did you come up with the density for 83 units? What's our bylaw says? I never seen such project. What, how does it dictate the density?
It doesn't.
So there's nursing home, right? And then there's elder housing, so you guys kind of came together. You're talking about the parking?
No, density, how many units?
Density.
What happened, Mr. Chairman, in density, at one point, we talked about maybe 2 buildings, there were 2 lots there, we want to combine them into 1 lot. As we all collectively, mostly me.
What I'm trying to do, the legal part of it, what, the number of units, how did you come up based on what bylaw, based on what system? How did you come up with the numbers?
The square footage of the building, as it sits on with the permeable surface, pervious surface and all that, and the setbacks dictated the size of the building.
I understand.
Then we took the size of the units, we made the units roughly 25 feet wide by 28 feet long, which is a good-sized one-bedroom unit with extra space. Elderly requires sometimes care, so 2 people have to be in the bathroom, for instance, to do a bath. You know, you can't do it by yourself. So the rooms have to be a little bit bigger than a standard one-bedroom. We didn't try to squeeze a lot of stuff in there. And we also found that, in talking to people, that was a good sweet spot for good care. In other words, it was not too big to be a...
700 square feet per unit.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's a good-sized one-bedroom unit. And it's not 600, it's not 550, it's not something with, you know, studios. And it's about 700 square feet, that's correct.
Right, but what I'm trying to get to the point, I understand. What I'm trying to get, the point I'm getting to, if you are to build a multifamily apartment building, you probably be entitled there for about 5 units. Where do you stand on to build 80-some units? This is my question, is it considered a hospital, elderly home? What's the bylaw that allows you to put so many units? This is my question.
Drug treatment.
The biggest thing was the sewage treatment, how many bedrooms I could put in.
I'm talking zoning-wise.
Well, zoning-wise, I'm not quite sure. Zoning addresses the number of units. It addresses the size of the building and the height of the building, which gives me approximately the 20,000 square foot of building. And then what fits in there is that many units. I don't think there's no floor area requirement, I believe.
I know, like, for instance, if you put in a motel, I think you need 3,000 feet for each room, I think.
Right.
So basically, you could do about, you could do about 30-room hotel or motel.
Right.
But, Ken, that's the first I see this project, so this is new to me. But have you discuss it with Ken at all? Did you guys meet?
We met, you know, I've been meeting with Ken and some of the people in the town that this one, I can't think of the person's names. This went back to the Council on Aging. You had an elderly affairs guy, I can't think of his name. I met him, it's probably 2.5 years ago.
Right.
So we've been talking.
My question again.
Yeah.
There's a formula that the bylaw allows you that many units. I mean.
I have not seen it, Mr. Chairman, in the bylaws, and if somebody can point it out to
That's what
me.
I'm looking at right. I understand where you're going, and I don't think we can answer that.
Other nursing home, or we have them, right? Home or assisted living.
Nursing home or assisted living is an allowed use.
It's an allowed use, but a special permit.
Right, but how many units usually they do? Is there a limitation to the units, or you could, as much as you could fit?
It doesn't address it in the zoning bylaws. It has, as you say, a density for a motel, 1 acre plus 3,000 square feet for each additional unit in excess
I
of
use that
12.
as an example, the motel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So apparently for nursing home or assisted living, there's no,
There's no definition of density.
okay, that's
I
my
I think
answer.
a lot of it's state regulated is what we're discussing as far as.
Oh, no,
The
I
one
think
thing
the
it does-
chairman's asking about the town bylaw, and
Yeah, I don't
Well,
I'm
the one
sorry.
thing that is in the bylaw is that each unit has to be a minimum of 650 square feet.
Excluding closets.
It doesn't say that, it says 650 square feet.
so they meet that.
Oh, yeah.
They're at 700.
Right, they meet that,
Minimum is 650 per unit.
correct.
Excluding, I think, bathrooms and closets. But anyway.
And will they all have bathrooms?
Very close.
I mean, are they all gonna have
Yeah,
bathrooms?
every unit would be individual bathrooms and.
But you close, you 700. It does,
Yeah.
this isn't the point. So right now, we just gotta sort out some things that's
Yes.
very important. The very, very important question as well, the sewer department, do you have an okay from them? Because
Yes.
if you don't have sewer, you don't have
I have
project.
a letter.
Yeah, we have a letter, Mr. Chairman, and we have an okay, yes.
I wanna take your word for it. Of course,
Yeah.
this is all gonna.
Exactly.
Water department, have you done a model number for fire, for suppression system, for sprinkler? Did they do?
We did not do a flow test, but the utility exists, and the answer to that is that if we have to require like fire pumps and stuff like that. The flow, you know, I'm not trying to be funny, but when a sprinkler goes off, the whole building doesn't go off. So the flow test is based upon a certain area. And there are ways to, you know, improve on the water pressure in the town. We
But this is
believe
not
it's.
our job, it's a fire department job, but I'm just trying to
Right.
sort out the most important stuff.
You're right, that it is exclusive of closets and bathrooms at 650 square feet.
So you need
600.
You need 650 exclusive of, not counting the closets and bathroom.
Okay.
So 700 may not make it.
No. Oh, yeah, may not make it.
50
may
feet
not.
for a bathroom.
One
Yeah, no, I
bathroom?
think in this case,
That's 35.
yeah, but they're gonna be
Yeah,
a
you
little
close.
bigger, but yeah, it'd be close.
You
It'd be
close.
close.
No big deal. All right. So the sewer is out of the way. The size of the building, apparently, we have no say in the number of units, I guess. Right? Do we have a say on that?
I would assume that you go on the basis of safety and building code.
Well, that's not our jurisdiction, that's building code.
Yeah, but that's the responsibility of the architect to design it for that purpose.
No, if he puts his stamp on it, that's his problem.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start with the board questions, and apparently, this is not gonna be solved in 1 or 2 or
No,
3
no, we didn't
meetings, so
expect that.
We start getting some input, and we go from there. Walter? Before
You
we
might
go
not wanna
for-
start
if I
with,
may-
you
if I
might
may-
not wanna start with me.
Nah, because you're right, I sound like, but before I start, is,
250 yards from this facility is going in.
all right, 1 second, before I start, that's what I was gonna do. Is there anyone has any conflict with this project?
Do you feel?
No, and the board members, sorry, boards.
Walter does.
Walter does. So I recommend you don't sit on it.
I'm not gonna sit on it.
Okay, so I'm gonna go, the last hearing, I wasn't here, Mr. Conti or Mr. Sampo sat? Do you guys recall? I think Mr. Conti sat in the last one, Mr. Sampo wasn't here, so it's.
You weren't here, so.
So, but the other question I wanna ask, are you gonna be showing up every hearing, or you have some?
You pretty much
You
available for the next 6 months?
To go forward?
Just a one-time,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay,
couldn't be here.
all right,
And I
very well.
gotta, for the record, he
Just any
did,
other one, and that should be about probably once my only one.
All right, very well. So I guess Mr. Sampos will be sitting on Mr. Cruz's seat. Okay, sorry, Mr. Conti, you sat on the last one. So he will be voting for Mr. Cruz. I'm glad you mentioned that you live there, so there's no conflict whatsoever.
21 years.
There you go. I thought he lives on Square Island. No? Okay. Anyway, so let's, but you
Not
could
that he
still,
admits
you
to
could
it.
still, no, actually, you can't. Mr. Conti,
Yeah, no, you
by,
can,
start by you. Comments. Like I said, this isn't gonna finish today or next hearing, so we make them as
if you
small
agree
and
on
as short
something,
as
now's the time
possible.
to ask.
So, I was just curious, the entrance to the underground parking, is that in the north section of the building there?
it's
The east side, I
from the
think.
east side, as you, the building runs from east to west on Sandwich Road, and then it goes north towards the back alongside Plymouth Road. I can, let me point it out to you, if you don't mind.
I thought it was this, but no.
No, the entrance goes in on that side and goes through. I think there are building plans in there, but they show the parking. It's only, in and out, only one entrance.
Only one entrance.
One entrance for the parking lot?
Yeah, there's, the building.
Again, that's a building code, that's
Yeah,
not our jurisdiction, it may not work, but that's building code. Okay, Veronica, what do you have for questions?
Actually, the questions that you had regarding density was probably utmost in my mind. There are a lot of questions and things about this project that I'm concerned with, but that would be probably one of the main ones. It would be my leaning to kind of go toward what the town bylaws have in terms of hotel, being 30,000 square feet for your initial residence and then 1,000 per additional residence. So I would be more inclined to lean toward those numbers for density. I know you're at 86, but that would put you at about 54 units in my calculation.
One of the reasons that I think some of the reasoning for that hotel, for instance, and some of the bylaws address, like a motel, cars coming in and out, people, I mean, this is a little different use than a hotel. I mean, this is a residence, it's kind of an unusual, I don't know if it's unusual, that's a bad word, but, it's a different use. And we think it's a use that's appropriate for the town and for the area. And we don't think that the impact will be the same as a hotel where people are coming and going every 3 days and moving in and moving out. The same as a motel. So there's a stability to this project. It's not there.
I'm sorry, Mr. What's the density for motel, 1,000 for each?
30,000 for your initial and then 1,000 each residence.
What's the initial allow you?
30, what?
One first
One
unit.
unit for 30,000 the first
One
one, I
unit.
believe.
I have an option as well. Under table 627, which is the general commercial district, not the strip commercial, the GC district, it says that minimum lot area and square feet per dwelling unit for apartments in mixed-use buildings is 5,000 square feet for the first dwelling unit and 1,000 square feet for each additional dwelling unit.
Is this, I'm sorry, what zone is
Table
this?
627,
I-
for the general commercial district.
And that's what these lots are in general commercial?
This one is in the strip commercial, CS zone, not in the CG.
So that's 79
But,
units.
so you're just so the project you're saying is in strip commercial, but you're referencing general commercial? Is
That's
that
right,
what you?
that's the only one that has reference to a density for apartments.
Okay.
So that puts it at 79, but regardless, I don't think we could compare it, but we can't use it because it's not this. Let's talk more about this, not the details, the substance of the project, the intention of it and all this. Then we can get into details when we have a more specific plans. Jimmy, what do you have to say?
Well, my initial reaction to it is very positive, I will say that. I have a few questions. The solarium, everything above the green, the yellow and the red. I know that's gonna be, common area. Everybody except for the, residents will have free access to it, I'm assuming?
Yes, I think even the memory people, I think they have to be escorted. There has to be some, they can have
Okay.
access to it, but it's limited because there's obviously,
And the garage, you said the garage under has how many spaces for how many cars?
I believe it's 49 spaces.
49?
Yep.
49, okay. Well, I'll call it 48, 4 dozen,
Yeah,
sticks
yeah,
in
yeah.
my head better.
Yeah.
So you're anticipating that not everybody in the building is gonna have a car, it's assisted living, and the memory patients probably,
No,
you
they
know,
wouldn't have
you don't
a
want
car.
them driving off and forgetting where they went.
No, no.
I get that. So they could drive into the garage, they could have a card and stick it in the elevator, they can't get to the first floor, because that's the memory I don't wanna use the word ward, floor. But their card could get them to the floor they live on.
What would happen is, if I call you Jim, what would happen, Jim, is they would have access, but the setup that we've envisioned is that it would be monitored. Whoever gets on and off that elevator has to go by the person at the front desk.
I got you.
You know, it's almost like
So
a
you're not gonna
security
control
thing.
them with the elevator, you're gonna control them with the front desk.
I'm gonna control with both.
okay, I got you.
We do that at the school now. Like I said, I'm at Berkeley College, and we control it
Yeah.
all over the place, you know.
Yeah, I use key cards a lot on some.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how it would be. And the reason it's set up that way is so that nobody can get in the building without being, first of all, being in the camera, but second of all, they have to come through the lobby, the lower lobby, not the lobby in the tower. That's once you're in. It's almost like as she was saying, a hotel, you know, that kind of key card access would have to
Okay,
be.
so let's go back to the solarium. It's a pretty good-sized room. People go there for assisted living, and mom goes to live there, and she's got 10 kids, and
Yep.
nobody wants to host Thanksgiving anymore, and she rents the solarium for Thanksgiving, and she can have the family over for Thanksgiving the week before, the day of, whatever. Is there going to be a kitchen up there?
We have 3 rooms that could be, there could be a small kitchen. We talked about that. We decided to leave it alone. I think a community kitchen up there would be a good idea.
Bathrooms?
Oh, yes, oh, yeah, handicap access bathrooms. And I'll call it the solarium is to the east, which is the glass. And then heading north from the tower would be the facility rooms, exercise, possibly a little kitchen for people to even cook. There's a trend in this assisted living to have people have a communal cooking area. Yeah.
I'm pretty interested in assisting living and all that stuff. That's why I got a lot of
Yeah, I
questions.
mean, we're going to leave that, obviously, if we can get by the envelope
Yeah.
with the Board of Appeal, then we'll move forward with some more specific things such as that.
Okay, and going to your 75-25, the 25% memory, more or less, I get it.
Something like
It's a more or
that.
less thing. Is there any requirement for you to have continued care? When they get to the point where they cannot live as assisted, do they have to leave there and go live elsewhere? Or is there any thoughts of maybe a percentage of the rooms being intense, more intense care or more?
Usually that level, number one, it's a
That
different...
level of care.
Yeah, it's a different care in the code, number one. But number two, what they do is, it's almost like an ICU, where they have someone, I don't know, we're gathered in this room, you know, you're in your separate room, but you almost have a little common area that you can keep an eye on so somebody doesn't leave and wander. Wandering is the problem, it's not the people themselves.
That's the memory people, but I'm not talking about the memory people. I'm talking about mom goes there at age 78, and by the time she's 90, they're saying, hey, you know, you need more than assisted. You need to be...
I think that's a different
At
facility.
that point, they leave that facility and they
Right.
go elsewhere.
Assisted living is...
It's assisted. You're going to go straight assisted.
Right.
And the memory people are going to be assisted, but more heavily monitored. The ratio of...
Exactly. They like to keep the memory people because sometimes there are people that are couples there, you know, husband
Yeah, I
and
get
wife.
it.
So they don't want to separate them. But when it gets into a hospital setting, it becomes a different...
That's a different,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're not getting in that
No,
level of care.
No, and we, again, that would have more of an impact in the
So
neighborhood.
they go up the street to Toby, and Toby refers them elsewhere.
Somewhere else.
They
yeah,
never come home.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Jake,
I'm
you
done.
have-
I don't...
Jake, you have a comment?
What's on the property right now? What's going on the property?
It's a vacant land. It was intended way back to become contractors, like storage.
Picture I'm looking at, number 12, it looks like there's a big building, big garage, and
Oh, I believe that's the property behind us. That's,
Oh, so that property, I thought this whole triangle was your property?
no, what happened is, I just wanted to give an idea of how that property is. On one side, it's high.
And would you make a new curb cut to go into the facility? or-
Yes, we want to put a one-way entrance and a one-way exit at the other end, so that nobody really, there's no traffic on Plymouth Road.
Okay, yeah, that was just, that would
Yeah,
be a
it's a
concern of
dead-end
mine.
street, we want to leave it that way. There'd be, you know, ambulances could get in and out of there, there'd be some small deliveries. The ladder truck,
Do you own those dilapidated houses out front? Are those part of your property?
the one house, but the other house is not so dilapidated, that's the person next door.
Okay,
Yeah, no, the one house is there, yeah, that's,
Yep,
yep.
all right, now we're good.
That would be torn down.
Yeah,
mean,
I think your project looks great. It's nice that you added that solarium on top, you know. If I was an elderly person, I had to go somewhere, I'd rather have that than just a square building, so appreciate you doing that. A lot of people would just bring in a square box and say they want
You
to
know,
put it in.
I tried, I think this would be, in fact, the picture you do see, it's got slanted bays, if the town would like a more modern look, assuming we go forward, it can have square bays.
Personally, I'd like to see this more than I'd like to see like a Section 8 or something right there, you know, elderly housing.
Well, I think housing, not, how,
Or I might have
yeah.
that a little stated that wrong, but,
Well, you know, I think the impact on the town is obviously if there are families in here, it would impact the school system and everything. I think the town needs it from indications that I get, and I think it would have the least impact. There isn't that much traffic. Unfortunately, there are not too many people in assisted living. They don't get a ton of visitors sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
All right, just for the record, commenting about Section 8, that's a personal opinion. The board does not.
yes, that was my personal opinion, sorry.
Board does not take this as a whole. Mr. Samples?
I'm just gonna start with the first floor. You have an enormous room there with nothing in it. You talk about areas to gather. You're talking about this, the yellow spot and then the tower. You're talking about areas for people to gather. You got your porches that are out there on the end for people to go to. I'm just looking at your height, so that's why I'm going through this. It seems like you have some areas for gathering in that big area, and then you have your porches. Is there a definite need for this other than the fact of something being nice or lavish?
Well, I think there are two reasons. Number one, the open area that you see in the plan is really where the main kitchen would be, and the dining room.
Fred, if you don't mind, you have to address to the chair. When you ask the question, you have to address to me.
Okay, I'm
The
sorry.
answer, let's go by the book a little bit more in
Okay.
this case, yeah.
All right, so the question is, on the open space.
Yeah.
It's drawn that way because we're not exactly sure, but the plan would be, that would be the main kitchen that would feed the whole building. And that would be the main dining room, and there'd be people in there. We just didn't put petitions in because we're not quite sure how that would get set up, but it would be in that location. And that main dining room is off of the entrance lobby, so people could come and go and see people coming and going. It's a nice location for it. The reason for the solarium has nothing to do with so much space. It's the idea of, it's an old-fashioned idea, and it's come to the fore. I mean, sunshine and health, and having a 10-foot-high ceiling in there gives you a nice place to gather, and it's a nice place to be. Yes, it's more than a look. I think it looks nice. I think it's set back enough so it's not visible from the street, but it's facing due south, and please believe me, if you ever get a chance to sit in a due south window that's unobstructed, it's fantastic in the middle of winter, and it's a health issue for those for the people that we're talking about doing. I know I didn't mean to look at them.
That's
Okay.
fine.
And then the other thing I was looking at, you got the gazebo that's going in there? Is that? I see
Yeah,
that.
we-
So that's a place of gathering, and that's outside?
It's more of a destination place. We're going to reuse the fire lane that the fire department wanted as a pathway to walk back and forth. I think that's another thing. That'd be great in the summertime. There's 2 or 3 months of the year where it would be work, and we wanted to put that in there. So we put the gazebo in there. I'm not sure that would, it's one of those things that you put in there. There's some activity in the back.
And you touched on the fire lane, and I'm assuming that you went to the fire department, but I was under the understanding that you had to be able to travel all the way around the building. I see your fire lane stops. I don't know if that's in my area or I'm not supposed to, but it just seems to stop, and I was just in concern for that.
I can address it, Mr. Chairman. It's not required because of the size of the building. It seems like it's a big building, but it's not required. And they can get all the way around the building, but it's not a circle, It's not a requirement. The fire lane itself is not required by code, but it's a suggestion and a requirement, if you will, by the Wareham Fire Department, and I go along with it.
Yeah,
So, and then we get to the maintenance building. The maintenance building looks pretty fancy for a maintenance building with the deck on it and everything. I was just curious to know if it's a maintenance building, why do we have a raised deck? And it kind of looks lavish on the top and maintenance on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you're calling it a maintenance building, right?
Well, I mean,
Be that the manager's quarters, or?
it could be manager's quarters. What happens in these facilities, they do a lot of training. It can be a training area. It's just a big, wide open space. The concept there was to have a maintenance garage, place to park maintenance equipment, a truck and stuff like that. The deck isn't really, the deck is to kind of hide the stuff that gathers in any of these places outside, snow blowers and junk.
Well, that's why,
And it goes
that's
under
why
the
I'm
deck.
asking, if it's a maintenance building, it's supposed to have all that in it. Now, you're making the deck above it, so that's, you're intending to put the stuff also on the outside.
What's underneath, it's enclosed.
But it's not in the building, it's under the deck, right?
Well, we didn't want to make too big a building. We thought that would be a good-sized building, it would be sufficient. But there are things that, if anybody here has a garage, it's 20 by 20, 25 by 25, it gets loaded up, so we're gonna put stuff on the outside, but hide it. It's like, you know the stuff you were talking about, Mr. Chairman, about the parking a car and then underneath the raised, it's that kind of idea. It's gotta have, the deck makes it look right. I wouldn't put just a roof on there and some kind of like a carport. I think it would look better as a deck.
All right, my final thing is that I think I caught you at one point at the end of your your statement, that you're gonna have two people in some of these units? Husband and wife, or are the husband and wife gonna be in separate units?
There would be room for two people, like in a bathroom. I think that's what Mr. Mannix was talking about.
What I was referring to on that is that there's room for a caregiver in the bathroom. What happens in these units, you have a certain level of care. You have somebody come in 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day. You can order that. It's like a menu. I would assume a husband and wife can live in a one-bedroom unit. I mean, yes, I don't know. I don't know how many husbands and wives would be there. We have provision for some two-bedroom units. We make, it's not set in stone.
Thank you, that's all I have.
All right, I get a couple of suggestions. On that, I do not like the idea that you have things stored outside in the garage. And that maintenance building, why don't you put it on that triangle in the back? Like, why taking that space in there? Because I wanna get to the parking in a little bit. And it's gonna take some maybe create more parking spaces. So you see that triangle shape you have to the north?
Right.
Maybe tuck it in there. I will be willing personally to entertain a variance for setbacks over there and open more space to get more parking. Another thing, I wanna get to the public, but another thing, I didn't see a landscaping architect plan signed by the landscaping architect.
Well, we put a preliminary plan in.
Okay, but just to let you know, you're gonna need landscaping architect.
Okay, yeah, okay, now I
Okay,
understand.
another thing I want to talk, I really don't wanna talk about it, it's not our experience or our jurisdiction. It's very important that the fire department is okay with it for their truck, the big one is
We're
very
working
long
with
truck.
Mr. Smith. They asked for a change in the plan. They have a new truck, so he just sent us ladder one.
Yeah.
And Mike Pimentel is getting that additional. I think
so
we
you
revised
have-
it a few
It's very
times.
important you work with
Oh,
them
yeah,
because
I've spoken to him a few times
we
today.
have no jurisdiction over them, they have their thing.
I go along with that and couldn't
In the,
understand.
going back to the parking, well, if we go as per one-bedroom apartment, our bylaw requires one parking, so you need 80 parking spaces.
Right.
And you're showing 49, and out here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you have about 55, 56 without the handicap.
Well,
So where's the others?
Well, in discussion with the building department and planning department, we talked about the requirements for elderly. This is something between nursing home and elderly. We don't see this as an apartment complex as such, okay?
Right.
We see it as a cross between, or an interim step between nursing home, which requires one parking space for every 4 beds, and then
One parking space for 4 units?
every 4 beds.
4 beds, okay.
Yeah. The nursing homes don't have units
Okay,
per se. And then we have elderly housing, which requires 1 parking space per unit. And I don't know, I think it's the same as apartments, right?
yes.
Okay. So, whatever, we just used the word elderly housing because that's what we talked about. So, the amount of activity, we kind of split the difference and said, in this particular project, for the units that are living units, we would require one parking space for every 2 units of assisted living,
Assisted living, 1 for 2 units?
1 per 2. And then we talked about, we didn't talk about Alzheimer's. I mean, that would probably fall very easily into the nursing home part. But if you take again, I'm using a base, I didn't put 100 units down here, but it's easier for me to calculate.
Yeah.
If you take 100 units, and you take 25 of them and make them into Alzheimer's units, they would obviously be smaller. So you would have probably 2 beds for every space. So the parking requirements would be about the same. And then what we tried to figure out, we have, I believe, 64 parking spaces, more than we talked about. And I could put more parking space in the back off the fire lane, but I wanted to keep the outdoor parking to a minimum to avoid having a lot of cars. We certainly don't want to park anything in the front of the building. I don't want to, I'm not trying to mischaracterize anything, but there's, every place in town, every place you go, there's a lot of parking in the front of these commercial spaces. The place down the street that has parking for their the
I understand.
children.
What are you gonna do with the employees and the nurses and all these? How many you anticipate to have? And the caretaker, the yard taker?
Well,
How
the
many
yard-
employees? You have front desk, nurses? How many you think will be coming in the building?
Well, if there's 100 residents, it would probably have 20, 15,
You have
20.
80 residents, 80 units.
80, but I don't know how many people would come in. There'd be shifts. They'd come in probably, 15, 16 people.
So you need extra 15, 16 parking spaces.
Yeah, well, we have the 40, if there's 80 units, we required 40, and we have 64. We have 24 extra parking spaces. For the residents, if you use the formula.
So you wanna use the formula of 1 parking for 2 units, the assisted living system,
Assisted living, yeah.
1 per 2. And you anticipate to have like 16 employees, 17?
I think so. The memory care units would have 2 employees to handle that wing.
We're gonna need something like hard on that, like some studies, I'm sure there's a standards with the nursing home. Would like to see this, you have to have some access to this. We need some hard evidence, say what the assistant living use, how many employees per whatever.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
We'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I wanna go to the public quick. Anyone here in favor of this project? Favor? Of course not. All right, we're gonna start against the project. You wanna come forward to a mic, state your name, and please, let's stick to the point, like, be specific, like, I have the punchline, like I call it, so let's not go off, he said, she said, or whatever.
No.
Name and address, ma'am.
Livia De Silva, 241 Sandwich Road.
Okay, let's hear what do you have for concerns.
Okay, my biggest concern is traffic. He keeps talking about, it's assisted living, not many people are gonna leave or coming and going, but there is.
You worry about traffic where, on Sandwich Road?
Yes. I live directly across from the lot he's talking about. And as of today, right now, traffic is horrendous on Sandwich Road. It's an everyday thing. They built the daycare a few years back, which is 2 doors from where I live, and it's just increasingly bad. And now you want to add in 83-unit facility with employees, visitors, and if I understood him correctly, it sounded like the entrance was going to be off of Sandwich Road. And there is a little driveway that is not diagonally, right in front of my driveway. And I have a hard time getting in and out of my own yard almost every day because of traffic. I have people that use my driveway as a turnaround. So I'm very concerned about the level of traffic with, now he's talking about putting a garage, and they're gonna put, stuff for snow plowing and just the height of it. So he's talking 83 units. I'm not an architect. I look at down the street is Atlantic Motel.
Yeah.
And that is probably half the size lengthwise or unit-wise that he's referring to. So he's looking at doubling that at least. if I'm correct, because I think Atlantic definitely doesn't have 83 units.
Right.
So, and it's probably going to be beautiful, but for me personally, it's an eyesore. I'll look out my window and that's all I'm going to see, is this big old building. But again, my biggest concern is the amount of people that's going to be coming in and out all day. Plymouth Road is a very narrow road.
I don't think he's using it, though.
He does have an entrance on it.
Maybe for emergency only. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is Plymouth you using it as a main entrance or emergencies?
It's basically emergency and rear access to the building. It's a dead-end street.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And it's very narrow, so.
Right, it's gonna be used for emergency, for
Okay.
fire, so it's not gonna be like it'll have probably a gate on it, only for
Okay.
emergencies.
So there again, you'll be using Sandwich Road to exit and enter.
Right.
Which is going to be right in front of my house constantly, all day long. What's the problem now is when you're at that street light, right before Upper Cape Realty, it's 2 lanes.
Correct.
It does not indicate that the 2 lanes turn to 1. I can't begin to tell you how many accidents we have there on a regular basis, because you got 2 lanes sitting at the traffic. As soon as the light turns green, people are doing 90 to see who can get in front of whoever to merge into 1 lane. That's a problem. And now you want to add in an 83-unit facility, including visitors, families coming to visit them. You indicated maybe possibly hosting Thanksgiving there or whatever. So the amount of people that this is going to draw, I understand it may be good economically for the town, but as a resident who pays taxes, who's lived there 63 years, I am elderly, and I do drive, so I took a little offense to that. He kept saying elderly we don't do anything. We do. So I'm just really concerned about the traffic of this whole thing coming up.
I wanna, not to speak, I'm not trying to support his theory, but keep in mind, this is Route 6, it's a state road, and this road can handle, it used to handle the Cape, basically, traffic.
I know. I lived there my whole life, and it
could-
was a nightmare.
Right, it used to be a nightmare.
No, it still is,
Right,
trust me.
But it could,
Let's ask for his traffic study.
yeah, we will. You have to keep in mind, the regular traffic in assisted living or nursing or whatever he calls it, it's not the same as an apartment building. So you don't have so much traffic between 7 and 9 for kids going to school, people going to work. So most of these people are not going anywhere in the morning. They're pretty much retired. Or unfortunately, they're sick or they need assisting. So they're not going, you don't have the impact. We will ask for traffic studies, what a place like this would generate for traffic. But places like this do not, the traffic it will generate is minimal for what you call Route 6. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you will be shocked with the impact. It will be
I would be
probably-
very shocked.
The percentage was gonna come back, impact like 1 per 1,000, very, very minimal. Because that Route 6 can handle a lot of traffic.
I know, I live there, and I've been living there for 63 years.
So
I know.
We will ask, just to make everybody happy, for traffic studies. But I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna like the results.
Well,
I
then-
do this for a living, I totally
Okay.
understand.
Well, I'm
could
here to
see-
voice my opinion.
Of course,
Yeah,
you have
no,
the
you're
right to.
entitled to.
You have the right to, but if the traffic was on Plymouth Ave, it would make a big impact, but not on Route 6. But we will ask the applicant for traffic studies, and we'll address it next hearing. We'll discuss it when the traffic studies.
Yeah, I would be interested to see that. I know, I don't know if you live on Sandwich Road,
I did live
Okay.
10 years on 89 Sandwich
so
Road.
you're on the other end.
Yes,
Okay, so I will be directly across from this facility.
totally
And,
understand.
and like I said, when they built the Best Friends, or I think that's.
Yes,
Yes,
Best
that
Friends.
daycare,
Yeah,
in and out, in and out, in and out, all day long, okay? And I understand, that's a daycare, even though you say, kids aren't driving, but people are in and out.
The parents are driving,
Same
you're
thing
right.
is gonna happen. I know you guys are minimizing this traffic situation, but living it, and as frustrating as it is, to try to get out your own driveway, to go to Stop and Shop or go to the post office, it's just, you know.
Yeah, I understand, but keep in mind also, you live in a general commercial area. That road is general commercial, or strip commercial, is it general or strip?
No, not on my, no, it's not commercial. It's, you have the Upper Cape Realty, my house, Paula's house, Best Friends, then all the way down, you have Nessarella's, and then you have nothing until you hit EMS.
I know, but what's the
So
zone there?
how's that?
You're referring to use, he's referring to zoning.
Oh, okay.
Strip commercial.
I'm not familiar with that.
The zoning-
Okay.
It's okay, I get it.
Yeah, I'm just, you know,
I get where you're coming from.
yeah, it's
You have a
just,
residential use in a commercial zone.
absolutely, yeah. And putting now, you know, putting in a, what do you want to call it, assisted living or nursing home, we'll be very naive to think that nobody's going to come in and out.
No, absolutely,
Okay?
people will come,
So
but
you've got workers,
let me make you feel better. You know, somebody can build a supermarket there.
no.
Yes,
that
it's a
would
strip
not.
commercial, it's allowed use. Somebody can put a.
Right there, that would be a bad idea.
Right, but I'm just letting you, give you an example what you could do
Yeah.
this.
I
You
think
could
we got
build
other
a gas
people that wanna-
station, you could build a hair salon, you could build a store.
You know,
could-
my main, like I said, other than the whole traffic, my main concern, and I wish you guys, maybe it's not at this forum, but the town should take a look at how there is no indication at that street light, traffic light, I'm sorry, just before, where Cranberry Highway crosses, and there's the Upper Cape Realty. It's 2 lanes,
You're talking about Route 6 West crossing Route 28.
correct. It's 2
And
lanes.
it becomes a drag race.
It does. I see it all the time, and I can't tell you how many accidents.
I was
there've
the
been.
manager of Upper Cape Realty for 19
Oh,
years.
see, so you
wanna-
know.
You want to talk?
Yeah, so I look at that, and so if somebody's rushing, and all of a sudden they're gonna make a quick stop because they're going into this assisted living, you know, that's all I'm saying.
Right, the town can make an inquiry, but this is a state highway, so the state would decide on that.
Well,
The
they
town can make an inquiry, I believe, to address the issue.
Her
Let me
comments are
finish.
good, and we'll note them.
Can I?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
Let
interrupt
me
you.
finish. So, like I said, it's a state highway. The state will have to make a decision. I know whatever you say probably makes sense, they race or whatever, but that's a state highway. I don't know I know the town can make an inquiry to address it. I don't know how far we
Yeah.
go with the state.
trust me, I work for the
I'm sorry,
state, so
what do you wanted to say?
we do things slow
No,
motion.
I'm just saying, we don't want to, she made her point, traffic study is appropriate. I think there's other people that have comments they want to make.
Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for your comments.
All right, who would like to speak next?
Walter Cruz, 204 Sandwich Road.
I know who you are.
Okay, well, for the record.
For the record.
I object, because I've lived there for 21 years. I have family that lives on Plymouth Road, it's been there for over 80. It's all residential. The yellow house is a residential lot. I will be checking into the zoning on that. I believe the commercial starts from the yellow house to the corner, goes residential, and picks up again, commercial. So on that, and also, we're on septic on a lot of them homes. We have problems right now with the treatment plant. I smell it all the time. You're gonna add 80 more bathrooms into a town sewer system that can't handle what we got now. I'm on septic because of that reason, and I'm only 150 yards from the plant. So we're gonna do a study on, I also want to study on the plant that's gonna receive all the water for his waste, or he's gonna have to come up with a septic system to handle all his system. There's a wetlands less than 50 yards from him that used to be cranberry bogs. They deemed it maybe 15 years ago as wetlands because of the birds. It's always flooded. And I object, because if you lived on that house from my second floor, it's gonna look like a prison to me. I've watched since I've lived there, lots get cleaned and houses going in. Now all of a sudden you're telling me you're gonna put a 40-story building in? I'm a builder too. and I build, you know? So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. This is not gonna go right through the zoning board. It's not gonna happen like this. This will get continued, and we'll bring in the residents from that neighborhood. There's plenty of land in Wareham, and my on this is all I see is, let's get it in as assisted living, and let's do it maybe as a drug treatment or something like that. But if it was 200 yards from your house, would we be having the same conversation? I don't think so. And it is detrimental to the neighborhood. We allowed the daycare because there's a lot of kids in that neighborhood. There's a mental health place on the left-hand side of the street, which would be across the street, just a couple houses down. It's made to look like a home. This looks like an institution. This would be like living next to Bridgewater State for me. Nezarella is a farm stand. Put your house in that block from the river to the yellow house. That yellow house has been that way for 20-something years. Now all of a sudden you want to develop it? Maybe longer, yeah. I've been there 21 years. Now all of a sudden you want to do it? It's had a condemned sign on it.
One at a time, ma'am. Let the gentleman
At
speak.
least 20 years it's had a condemned sign. And I want to know how he's combining a residential lot to a commercial lot to put this building in. And there's also 3 entrances out of there. There's 2 on Sandwich Road, and there's 1 on Plymouth Road, which is residential. He would need a sweat pass analysis from the fire department. I can tell you right now, that road's not gonna pass for that with the new truck. He's also gonna need a runoff and a discharge. If he's gonna have any runoff from his roof, that's gonna hit the ground, because we're too close to conservation. So we can note all this for studies. I've said enough. I mean, my house is right there. I'm not selling. When I retire and I become elderly, I'll let my kids move in there. They can take care of me. So I will not be going here. You know?
All right, well, I mean, I totally understand what you're saying.
No, you
What,
don't understand now that you don't live there, I'm sorry to say.
okay, but I know what the book says.
I don't go by the books when you live there.
Okay, that's perfectly fine, your opinion, but let me...
Somebody else like to come up?
Let me say one thing.
I'm sorry, Nazir, I thought you were done.
The sewer, excuse me, you guys wanna listen or you don't?
I'm done, I said enough.
Well, I have to speak, so, okay. No, you can say, but I wanna, and I gotta make it clear, we do not make decision for the sewer department. So whether we tell them you could give them sewer or not, you understand, we have no say. Whatever if we tell the fire department, give them the approval, it don't mean nothing. This is their decision.
Right.
Okay? Now, about being an invasive building, it is, according to the plans, and there's an engineer stamp, it's a strip commercial. So, whatever theory is saying residential and this, what I see in front of me, it's a strip commercial. I totally understand it's invasive building. The variance becomes an issue because you have neighbor opposing it. But if he built the building the way it stands without the variance, I don't think the town has a say or the board has a say. We could say no, and apparently he'll go to court and he'll beat us if he goes by the zoning requirement. Talking about drainage, I see here at 120 inches, there was no groundwater. So apparently, his drainage will work perfect. But then again, we'll hear it from Mr. Rowley about drainage and stuff, about traffic flow and everything, but there's certain guidelines we have to go by. If we don't like the building and stuff, but if it's by the law, if the law allows it, we cannot say no. We could definitely say no for the variance of the height for the solarium, unless the board members agrees it's a plus for the community. But the building itself, if it meets requirements, can't say no. We have no basis to say no.
All right, well, the question I have, what constitutes a community? Is it Wareham as a whole, or is it a certain area within the area of this building?
Right, Wareham as a whole, because with all due respect, say how many people here against it, the board represent almost 22,000 people. So when you sit in this chair, you're representing 22,000 people, and there's only 10 people complaining. Multiply them by 100, you're still 1,000 people against 22,000. So we do look, I mean, we cannot just say, oh, we don't want the building and incur legal charges against the town, and the insurance for the town skyrocket because all these claims coming in because we don't want to. And there's rules and regulation, and we have to follow them. And it's our job to protect the town. And protect the town from everything. I don't like the project personally. However, the law and the book dictates to me I have to follow the book so I don't cost my town money for legal fees and my insurance to go high if he complies with the sizes. Now, for certain things we're gonna sort out, and we're gonna see if we could work something out. I like Mr. Sample's idea about the first floor. Why this empty first floor for? Make the solarium on the first floor. It's not solarium. Make the gathering room on the first floor. Get rid of the variance. So there's few things about the utility, maintenance garage. Like I suggested, put in that triangle, and I don't like the outside things. There's few things we could sort out. We could say no. However, we can't just say no because we want to say no, or yes because we want to say yes. I mean, we have to follow somehow the guidelines. Sir, you want to come forward?
That triangle that you were talking about?
Yeah, come forward, state your name and address, and you could say whatever you wish.
David Dixon.
Yeah.
Address 5 Plymouth Road.
Yeah.
What's out? What was the other thing?
You said,
Address?
that's it, name and address,
Okay.
and state your mind.
Thank you, that's what I didn't catch. That triangle that you're talking about is actually a pit.
Okay.
Comes down steep off of 28 and off of the back of my property into about, say, almost a 15-foot deep hole. You know, it's like a big trough. You follow?
It looks to me going uphill here.
No, the property goes downhill, bottoms out in that V that you're talking about, and then climbs up real steep to 28. Like I'm talking, you know, an incline like this.
Right, but if I'm looking at the plan, it's pretty much flat from the road all the way to that triangle and start going up, about
No,
5
it
feet
actually-
up.
Well, my property abuts the back, you know, it abuts that little triangle wedge there.
Yeah,
And from the back of my property slopes constantly towards the back. It drops off the back of my property outside of my fence and goes down at least 6, 7 feet or more into the ditch, and then does a sudden uprise up to 28.
very well. We will, I mean, there was
Okay.
only
That's
suggestion.
it,
We'll address this, but
Right.
what's your concern other than this?
Well, number one, I didn't know for sure, but I just found out through the meeting now that they are talking about an access out on Plymouth Road. I don't like that one bit. My granddaughter rides her little bike up and down that road because it's a dead-end road. Now, I know it's a road.
On
But-
Plymouth Road.
Plymouth Road,
Right.
correct, the little dead-end part of it. Any real access out in that road is too much already. The road is falling apart.
Plymouth Road. we
Plymouth
talk-
Road,
Right.
Plymouth Road. The road is
The
literally
on-
falling
the-
apart.
The way I understand it from Mr. Fred,
Yeah.
Fred, it's gonna be only emergency, so I'm assuming it'll have a gate that the fire
Well,
department
I
can
don't
only
want to
access.
assume anything. I'd like to know for a fact what's what.
We will definitely, if I may, it's an emergency exit, right?
It's primarily an emergency exit.
No,
but there's
does
no
it have a
way on
gate? Is it gonna have a gate?
It's not planned to, but a limited
All right.
access could be arranged. I mean, if
We
that's-
could put a gate on it. We could require a gate, if the fire department allow us to do so.
They frown on a gate usually.
Okay.
They don't want to get there.
But there's not going to be much to really, if there's not absolutely a gate, there could be minimal to belay, I'll say as a word, and probably, to reduce the amount of use that's going to go through Plymouth Road. There's no guarantee of what amount is or will or won't go through that road. The other thing is my backyard is gonna be directly at the back of this building. He's gonna have a nice tall building with things, you know, all these windows to the back of the building, looking right down on my pool while I'm bathing, you know, sunbathing, whatever, or swimming, you know. I'm not so crazy about that idea at all, well, not one bit. You know, the other issue I have a question about is, where's the garbage gonna be? And how close to my property line, and the southern wind that blows right across my backyard from that property? What am I gonna be smelling all year long? Not alone the plant, like Mr. Cruz said, you know, smelling that, but then I'm gonna be smelling dumpsters on top of it. That's something I surely would wanna know about, because there are gonna have to be some dumpsters there.
It shows on the plan near Upper Cape.
Yeah, it's towards that.
Near Upper Cape. Well, the wind blows from anywhere in that area, right across my backyard.
Well, that dumpster, it could be addressed, it could be enclosed. We might say put it under, take a garage, put it in a garage with enclosed walls and doors with venting. These minor things could be
That'd be a
tweaked.
pretty
We need
big,
some,
for 86 units, that'd be a pretty big dumpster area
right,
in a building.
right.
But we're already talking about that garage thing not really being, you know, being not that big right now, you know? And would it have the space to do that even bigger?
Well, it's gonna be designed properly, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Like I said,
we'd have to
this is
see
a,
on
this
that,
is
for
a
sure.
project that will go on and on and on. This isn't something gonna be solved in two or
Right.
three hearings.
So your concerns, to recap, your concerns are the view, the grade,
The view,
and the curb cut on Plymouth Road.
and what?
Curb cut on Plymouth Road.
Yeah, and the impact on Plymouth Road, because there truly isn't really a curb cut on Plymouth Road now. There's no specific curb cut on Plymouth Road right now. One would have to be made. You know what I mean? There's not a driveway there for that property right there on
Correct.
Plymouth
I
Road.
got it. That's why I called it a curb cut.
Right, I understand. I'm just, you know, wanted to make sure it just didn't fall into a small pigeonhole.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to rush you along, but we're
I
trying
know
to
other people got it.
abbreviate everybody's thoughts and get some notes.
Who would like to speak against?
Is there anybody else present that would like to come forward and make comment?
All right. Well, I guess now we'll have to listen for Mr. Rowley. Mr. Rowley, have you had a chance?
I wrote you a letter back on the 17th of this month stating that I did not have the complete information that I needed to provide you with a full report of the site plan.
Okay.
Unlike most projects that come before you or the planning board, they meet the requirements for submittals under the site plan review regulations. This does not. This project, just so that we don't lose sight of it, is you're being asked to consider variance for the height and a setback variance for a small building. But in this particular case, because of the land configuration, which, by the way, is not unique to this site, I notice in the narrative that was provided you, it suggests that because there's a change in topography from one side to the other of 15 to 20 feet, that's unique. It's not unique to this site. If you go across the street and go drive in Rogers Avenue or drive in any of that area, you'll find that the topography is pretty well the same way in several places. So to use that as a basis for the variance and placing the highest point of the building on the highest point of the land, that's something for perhaps the board to consider. But the more important thing is, in my role here, and to report to you and to give you a recommendation as to the overall site plan, it's my understanding that the applicant wishes you to make a decision on the variances that he's requested, and then he'll come in later with all the details. Unfortunately, this type of a plan requires the details to be there so that you can evaluate the whole thing as a unit. Everything depends, one thing depends on the other. And in the second page of my letter, I did list all of the various sections of the bylaw which are not included, which includes a narrative. You have an impact statement that's required, was not included. Stormwater calculations were not included. There were no detail plans included. And so I can't give you a recommendation on any of this. I'd like to, but without the information, it's impossible. Because as I say, with the type of a project that it is, everything works together, and you can't just separate out and say, okay, I can do the drainage, I can do this, I can do that, without taking into consideration the grading, the curb cuts, the visual aspect of what you're going to see, all of that sort of thing. So with respect, I just can't do it right now.
You know, Mr. Lowry makes sense. Where's all the package?
Well, Mr. Rowley makes sense if, let me back up.
But if I may, usually, to come before us, you should have had all this in place.
Exactly.
I guarantee you the board is not willing, me at least, not willing to make any decisions without all these things in place.
Well, again, I'd like to state unequivocally, like I did to Mr. Rowley and to the rest of the people. We had an unofficial meeting, and at that meeting, I clearly stated I was not looking to come to the board for an answer.
This is not, but that meeting has nothing to do with us.
Well, it had something to do
Dwight,
with...
he's trying to explain why he's here.
I'm trying to explain why I'm here, Mr. Chairman. And what happened is, I would like the public input, before I make any final decisions. Some people brought up some good points about Plymouth Road, curb cuts. Mr. Rowley talks about he hasn't seen exactly the curb cuts. I didn't intend to make the site plan approval part of this here. In fact, I did not intend to come here tonight and seek your approval for the variances. I wanted to get the flavor of the board, number one. I wanted to get the flavor of the public. And I don't think going around from door to door and asking people, it should be official. That's not the right way to do things. And
Right.
I have never done that before in other things I've done in this town and around the state. It was very clear that that's what I wanted to do. Mr. Rowley's letter mischaracterizes what my intention is, and I want to clear the record. I'm sure he misunderstood what happened. I don't think he did it on purpose, but I never told anybody I was looking to come in here to get approval without the proper submittals.
Well, it would never happen anyway.
Exactly. But I think my intention, personally, has to be put on the record. I did not intend to come here that way. I intended to come here, like I have for the past 2 years, with the town, not with the board. It's not correct for me to come before and ask the board individually what they think. This is a process that takes place. I've done it many a time, and there's a lot of things that can be solved for a town. For instance, let's say traffic calming could take place on Route 6. I think you're correct, Mr. Chairman. We don't have much say over it. It's the state. But certainly, there's things that I can do on Plymouth Road that could make their life a little bit better. I don't know if I can put a gate on Plymouth Road, but that would be up to the fire department. If they said it would be okay, I wouldn't have a problem limiting the access. I don't want people to use Plymouth Road. I don't think anybody would. But I don't want to belabor the point. I want to get back to the main point. The mischaracterization of my intention should not stand. I'm telling you right now, I intend to come to this town in a cooperative manner, and I want to continue to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the best thing to approach this for next hearing, I think you have to come, like I told everybody, the part of the building that's by right, the size of it, I mean, we could definitely say no if we wish to, but there's consequences to say no. I would say you're gonna have to do all these studies. I see you did some perk tests. You're gonna have to do the stormwater management. And I would recommend you come with two parts of your application, just the building, and then the variance for the solarium, two separate buildings. So you gotta weigh your options. Can you live without the solarium if the board says no? Regarding the maintenance building, I don't see a problem for the maintenance building. So this is my opinion where you should weigh your options. If you are willing to live without the solarium, I really love the solarium. I think that's a great idea. It dresses up the building. But maybe the board feels otherwise. So my recommendation, you gotta come with a full set of plan, because it is what it is. I mean, we could always say no, and you could always go to court. And with special permit, we all know special permit carries in court. And variance, it won't. But this is totally up to you, what you wanna do. I wanna get back to the board and ask more questions, maybe more input. It'll help you out and help everybody address the issues for next time. I go back to Mr. Conti, gather some thought since we've been talking.
I'd like to see the design of it a little bit. I don't know.
The what?
The
Chris?
design, it looks kind of industrial to me, and
Okay.
I don't know. I think it needs to look a little bit more. I like the outer building, actually, the proposed building. The look of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to match what you have
Like Cape
with the main building. And I think I'd like to see it look a little bit more homey, or a little bit not so industrialish.
Like more Cape Cod-y like?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think,
I think it might fit in better. I don't know.
yeah,
Be something better to look at than.
exactly.
I don't know, that other picture that you gave me with the, I understand why you did it with the height and everything, with the yellow top. That picture, to me, it looks like a prison, you know?
Well, no, I'm sorry, I was trying to show the mass of the building. It's probably not
I
my
understand.
architect advised me against it, as a matter of fact, but I didn't listen to it. But the thing is, it made it clear as to what the code requires and what, I basically, I know there's no such thing as of right, but as, according to the code, the green portion is as of right. There are other issues as far as parking and stormwater. I understand that. You can't just go out and build it. But we want the solarium to be an amenity for the people that are living there. That's all. It's got.
I do like the solarium.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful,
I
healthy
think the sun
thing.
is a wonderful thing for everybody, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it, that's the intention of it.
Let me ask, I want to get back to Mr. Sample's idea.
Yeah.
Why you have the empty floor? For why?
Mr. Chairman, it's not an empty floor. It's my fault. I wanted to leave it open to, I wasn't really focusing on the interior, but we can fill it in for you. It was filled in.
With what?
A kitchen and a dining room for the residents. It's not an empty floor. It's my fault. I said, look, let's leave it open. We can show you an example.
How big of an area is empty?
It's about, can you help me out here, 64 by 70?
The whole West L.
The West L, 64 by 70. About 4,500 square feet. So there's enough room in there to put a kitchen, a dining room.
A lot of kitchens.
Pardon?
A lot of kitchens and 5,000 square feet.
Oh, yeah, no, but it wouldn't be, but you know what I'm saying, the kitchen and the dining room would be adjacent to one another, and it would be a typical, like you would see in an assisted living home. I don't have an example.
Well, this is an option to weigh.
That-
This is an option for you, in case the solarium don't fly. Use this as the
No.
gathering room.
So they're
Something
gonna
you
have to
have to
have
wait.
food service in here
We
for
could do
86
that.
units. There's no
We
kitchens in there.
we could make some gathering spots. It isn't so
Those
much
are
a
sinks for
gathering
a
spot, it's a
bathroom, that's
healthy
all.
gathering spot. That's the
of
difference.
it,
If you put
yeah.
you can't put a solarium
It's
in
just
the
a living
basement,
area.
but you certainly can put a gathering
That's a
spot.
closet.
But that wasn't the intention. The
bathroom.
intention was to have a gathering spot that people could use as a...
Living area, living
It's
area.
healthy. I mean,
I don't
down
know
in
what-
South Boston, where I come from, L Street Bathhouse, they have that. That's a solarium. The people sit out there in the
I
middle
know,
of winter.
but we're Wareham, we're not Boston.
Okay.
So let's go to Veronica. What do you like to say, comments? We
Total
would like to
agreement.
send this
Yeah, total
applicant
agreement
with
with
as
Mr.
much
Conti.
comment as possible, so we can try to address it.
I'm looking for that.
So I'm in total agreement with Mr. Conti in regards to the look of the building, although I know it is just a big building. So I think But making it look softer than that would be, I think, ideal. It's really high. So I think the height has to come down. It'd be great, maybe, I mean, I know you don't want to lose the floors, but going back to what I was talking about in terms of units, I would like to see less units anyway in this building. If you took it down a floor or whatever and maybe tried to keep your solarium but with less of your main building, maybe you could still keep your solarium. I think wouldn't look, if you lost the top floor of the units and brought your solarium down, I'm not sure what the rest of the board feels, but, and then the other thing is the landscaping. Would really like to see what that's gonna look like with this building, because again, I think that's gonna make it look a lot softer and more palatable. Right now, it's just like prison-like.
Yeah,
That's
on that site, there's
stayed a lot.
100-year-old trees right in the front. If you drive by, huge trees, and Mr. Mannix put that on the plans to keep those there.
Those trees that Jillian's talking about, we would preserve, they can be preserved because they're very close to the sidewalk and the street, and they're gorgeous trees. And that whole corner of the building would be behind those trees. You can't see anything behind them. The solarium being up on the roof, there's two reasons for it. Number one, it's not that it's closer to the sun. That's not it's a silly reason. But the air, Mr. Rowley makes comment about that there's land around it that's similar in topography. It's true. But the land around it that's similar in topography is not surrounded by a couple of a major highway, which is 28. And on Plymouth Road goes up almost 18 feet at the end. So the building is in a bit of a hollow. So to get the activity zone up on the roof, we have a deck up on the roof. I think it's shown on the plans, but it wasn't emphasized. We have a deck on the roof so that people can be outside on the roof and then be 40 feet in the air. And the air up there is a lot cleaner than it is next to Route 28. That hollow that Mr. Dixon referred to is true. There is a hollow there. And it makes it it's a tough climb to go up to Route 28.
I understand what you're getting at, but just the height of the building is, regardless of the height of the highway and all that, it just doesn't work for me.
Okay, I understand.
But that's all I have to say at this point.
Jimmy, what do you want to?
I don't have a lot of opposition to the plans. I see the intention here. I understand the concerns of the neighborhood, but I think that there's a workable resolution here. I really do. It looks, I think Mr. Rowley said it, we're gonna do a full site plan review on this, so we gotta do the full, you gotta come back with everything. You wanted to get the flavor. I think you got a little bit of flavor tonight. We're really only talking about a couple of small variances within a site plan review. The site plan review is the big deal. You're gonna have to have a traffic study. You're gonna have to have, you've already been to Campina with the sewer department. You based your flow, you capped your flow based on your conversations with him. I agree with my fellow members that maybe, we could be maybe a little more Longwood Associates and a little less Frank Lloyd Wright on the look of the building.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
You know,
agree with that.
But, everybody has their flavor and their style, I get it, but this town, I personally like them all. I mean, I go to Disney World and don't find a building I don't like, So, they got it all, so, but I know that this town is gonna be more receptive to a more federal or Victorian, an older.
I couldn't understand more, and we want to, come here and give you as much as we thought we could give you to give you the flavor we want to do, and then act with the board in the public.
I like the idea of the garage under the building, from a security point of view, from an assisted living. My parents didn't live long enough to enjoy anything like this, but if I were worrying about my mom and dad, I'd much rather see them, push a button and have a door open and drive in and get in an elevator and push a button and get to their floor than, go across a slippery, icy parking lot. So I think the garage under is right on, in my opinion. Thank you.
Jake?
Thank you.
Nothing, you guys pretty much covered all my concerns.
Mr. Samples?
I just have one more. I'm looking at this little plan that you have here, and I'm looking at all these units, and each unit seems to have a kitchenette in it. It has a bathroom, and then it has a kitchenette. So if that big room, if each unit has a kitchenette in it, why are we having a big kitchen down on the first floor?
It's not a big kitchen, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you were saying that that's to feed everybody, so I'm just bringing the point up that I did see that there's kitchenettes in each unit.
No, most assisted living facilities, in fact, all of them, encourage a dining room and a kitchen, a common kitchen. A lot of people don't want to cook in there. They have a kitchen, but they also have a service that they come in. Like, let's say there are 80 people, to pick a number. 40 of them don't want to cook at all, so they go down to the common kitchen. It's not 100% of the people. Some people want to do it. So it gives them, assisted living, I think the idea is to give people independence, yet give them support and give them a choice of having basically takeout. You can take your food in. You can go, let's say we all became close friends here. We're on the place, we'll get together and go play cards somewhere and go have dinner together. I mean, just like a club would. So that portion that I did not fill in, which I will fill in, to show you what our intention is. I don't expect you to listen to my,
I know.
but
I
that's
understand.
why it's there. People want to have communal living. We've done a lot of
I guess
research
I'll just
on it.
back up. My question was the fact that you offered up that big room was gonna be made a kitchen area. And my question was, if that's gonna be a kitchen area, then why does all the units have the kitchens in them? That's all it was.
Okay, all right.
All right, Kenny, do you wanna put some input?
The only thing that I would suggest is if you want to present the height of the building and the impact it has visually, that you can present the grade of the property as well as the location of the building on it, so that it's not a flat site, but it follows the grade, and that would include the landscaping that Veronica mentioned as well, too. So you get a little bit more of a perspective of the actual, the actual visibility of the site from the street.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was my intention, was to come here and get the feel of what you thought. Like, for instance, to make it more of a Cape Cod-looking building. It's not something that I would try to force on the town. You know, that's it. It could be contemporary if you want it. It can be something, like you're talking about Disney World.
Yeah, I think,
It could be anything. I think we'll keep it Cape Cod-y. We can do that. And the same with, I agree with you on that. As far as a landscaping goes, there's very little landscaping as such, because there's the building, and we want to put something in front of the building.
Whatever it might be, you just present what you want to make as a site. The other thing about the application, I think there should be some kind of analysis, legal analysis on the density and how that applies in this particular instance.
Okay.
Walter, did you wanna say anything?
The only thing I would say, Walter Cruz, is, if nobody was here to object, and nobody was to say anything, he was gonna approve it like it is. So now, that's my point. If we weren't here, was that how it was gonna be? Because you would think that you would come with.
Yeah, that's why we have public hearings, so, which is great, so everybody put their input.
If I may, guys, real
Yeah.
quick, the first thing I remember from this is you guys came in and said you just wanted to get a feel for everybody. So I knew from the very beginning that that's what they were here for. We weren't going to approve anything today.
Of course not.
We weren't even going to be close to it, so that's all.
Thank you. I did not want to come here and get an approval.
All right, so, Charlie, do you wanna say something? No?
Well, just to comment about the site plan and so forth, why it's so important. I took a ride up onto Plymouth Road. Just a point about the building, and if you're going to have a common kitchen area, common collection area and so forth, first floor, to me, it would be better if they had common space on each floor, because if you've got people that are incapacitated or find it hard to walk, look at the size of the building and how far they have to run to that elevator. Separate issue. The thing I'm concerned about with the site plan is when I rode up Plymouth Road, I saw an oak tree that has to be at least this big around. Well, I only saw, well, it could be, but the one that I saw was huge, and there was another one that looked like the side of it was kind of in rough shape. Now, whether that's salvageable, I don't know. But those are site features that have to be presented, because if they're not, you don't know where they're gonna have to come down. And to me, a tree that old is worth saving. And if you have to adjust your site plan to accommodate that, you're never gonna move it. It's too big. It's got to be 4 feet in diameter anyway at the base. It's huge.
It's a beautiful tree.
So that kind of detail is essential for me to be able to assess, and it's essential for me to be able to convey to you as a board so that you know what you're dealing with. Right now, it's fine to talk about what-ifs, but again, as a reminder, you've been given an application for a specific variance for a specific set of documents that are right here. So I'm just asking you to bear that in mind as we go through all of this process.
Okay. Well, it does, on your existing conditions, Mr. Rowley, right, you have to show on the page sheet 6 of 7, it should show trees on an existing condition. That's an existing condition sheet.
Yes.
It should show trees pretty much anything over, I think, 6 inches or 8 inches?
Anything that's over 18 inches in DBH has to be shown on the plan.
Should be shown.
But I tried to list in the second page of my letter to you, Mr. Chairman, the various
I didn't,
items
to
that
be
were...
honest, I didn't get to read the letter.
Okay.
I wasn't around, but I will definitely read it. Not that it matters right now, but JC Engineering did some calcs for these drainage. They seem to me very small. Did they do any calcs at all?
J.C. Engineering has a history with this property, and I'm not sure if they did complete drainage calcs, because what has happened over the it's under my direction, not to do anything final till I found out what everybody thought, and as Mr. Rowley mentions, curb cuts. Everything should be in place that I think we're gonna do, then the calculation should be done by then. I really don't want to do them 2 or 3 times or drag this on for, a good long time. I don't expect to, again, I got to reiterate, I did not expect to come here with a complete set of site plans, because I thought that the building, if everybody on the board didn't like the building, there's certain aspects that you don't like, which I think I can correct.
Right, but I hate
heights-
to tell you, but you might have to do the plans 2 and 3 times. So with
Oh,
every
no,
business and an applicant.
Mr. Chairman, I expected to do
You know,
plans.
a lot of applicants do it 5 times.
Exactly, no,
You know, and they still get a denial. So this is the cost of doing business.
Oh, it's not, I've never
You
mentioned the
understand?
cost of doing business. That's the way
One
I
more
want it.
time, Walter, what do you like to say?
And just for the record, so it's there, I don't object to the property, I'm all for, development in Wareham.
Right.
I object to the design features, I mean.
Okay.
The daycare looks like a house, I'm fine with it, it looked like it fit in the neighborhood, just like the EMS building, looks like a house.
Okay. So,
I-
here is
well
what I
noted.
gather from everybody. So, for us to be able to somehow consider and give you some answers, so you need more intense architectural plans, very full details. You gotta weigh your options. If you have to lose the solarium, I like the solarium personally. You have to weigh your options. You definitely have to do stormwater management. You have to satisfy the impact narratives, everything Mr. Rowley said, because we base our decision based on technical assistance he gives us.
Exactly.
So,
No, I
you
know.
know, all the he gives us numbers. I mean, he doesn't tell us what to do, but he gives us numbers, and we have to base it on that because he's the professional engineer. You could always hire your own engineer if you disagree with the numbers, and we'll find it. But I'm sure all engineers is one plus, there's no gray area, it's always black and white. So you need, definitely, you have to work with the fire department with solid plans, because at the last minute, the fire department could tell you, no, I don't like it. So you gotta, every time you do something, you have to work with them constantly, because that's something will kill the project, just like the sewer will kill the project. You need something in writing from the sewer department that you
We have
okay?
that, Mr.
Okay, that's good. I would recommend you do a model for the water pressure for your sprinkler system. It's a must, because if you don't have it, you're dead in the water as well. Full architecture plan, like I said, analysis, traffic studies. I know traffic study is gonna go in your favor without even looking at it, but just to satisfy all the neighbors. Full site plan, and I need some sort of, from other nursing homes about employees density. Like usually what, every 5 need 1 assistant, and how many employees to run the show. We need some narratives on that. So we know how many parking you need for these people. And I still strongly recommend that you put that maintenance garage in that triangle. I'll have no problem granting a variance for the setback for that, because when you push it in that triangle in the back, you're gonna gain more room in the front, maybe to add parking lot or add landscaping. And also you need architect. I know you'll make it pretty and everything, but it has to go by the book. Whatever, we have our bylaws for the landscaping, so, and you have to hire a landscaping architect to go by our book. So there's no question asked, especially a project this size. So you have a lot of work to do, I don't know, and like, unfortunately, what every builder and developer have to do, you have a lot of money to spend and a lot of time to get these things together. When you think you wanna come back?
Well, I think that,
How much time you think?
well, it's, none of this can be completed in 30 days, so we.
Right.
We need, I don't know how the board meets and what.
Second and fourth Wednesday, so next time, the 14th, you're not gonna make it, forget it. The 28th or November 11th.
I think November 11th would be a good time.
Okay, so, again, as you work, and you could shoot an email to our planner, he could run it by everybody, some clarification to go by.
Exactly, no, I agree
Right.
with that, I expected that, I was hoping to get an idea of how the board felt, I do, I have an idea of how the public feels, and we'll accommodate that, and make the changes that I think that you're looking for, and then on the, what were we talking, November 1?
I gotta tell you, the way the board works, and I could probably speak for everyone, sometimes, even though we don't like the project, but we have to go by what the book says. Sometimes, we like the project, but a small project, and the book doesn't allow it, and we let it go. But it's very small, nothing compared to this. So, but in a project like this, it's the book what's gonna decide, not, I mean, our hearts, I'm sure, will put into it, but it's definitely the book. What the law in the book.
I understand, and I understand exactly what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, and I.
So
I'd
we're
like to go
talking
by the
about
book.
November 11?
November 11th.
What do you wanna say, sir?
Oh, excuse me, thank you, David Dixon. Something just had come to my mind that I forgot about, that I'd like to know if there's an answer to, is on that property, there are pits that look like they have water channels.
You need to, excuse me, you need to come up closer to a microphone, it's not getting recorded.
Hey, David, you want to sit here?
Yeah.
On that property, there's some square tubular holes in the ground that look like they have like a water channel that ran under.
What this is one of the plans we're gonna show on the existing conditions, so we know what these are. All we know, maybe these are some pipes for the bog, who knows?
That's what I'm saying is, I don't even know if Mr. Manish realizes that they're on the property. Because I used to venture out there, and walk around there and stuff like that.
I gave you some wood one time.
What's that?
I gave you some wood one time.
All right, but we will definitely, when the full plan comes in, I will personally take a ride and walk it. Make sure the existing plans show the trees, make sure, and what he's talking about.
They're heavily wooded in and kind of buried with brush and stuff, so it's very, very difficult to find them. But they're literally blocked in squares that go down into like a channel. It looks like almost some kind of like a viaduct or something like that.
Like what?
Like a viaduct?
Yeah.
Some kind of tubular thing where water looked like it flowed. I don't know what its purpose was, and that's something I'd like to know,
Okay.
Just exactly what it is.
Right, okay, we'll address it. Yes, ma'am.
Just quickly, you said the next meeting?
The next meeting, it's gonna
Isn't
be
that-
on the 11, you gotta wait until we
That's
vote
Veterans
on
Day,
it.
right?
What's that?
Isn't that Veterans Day?
It is.
Yeah, but we'll meet on Veterans Day.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Is it a
No,
holiday?
it's
That's
a
a
holiday.
holiday.
I don't think
Is
we,
the
I
town-
don't think so.
Okay, so the town's closed, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. We have a Veterans Parade here.
I know, but is
Yeah,
the
I
town
don't think anything's
closes?
open on
The
Veterans
parade's
Day.
been canceled.
I know that, but I don't work
Listen, my
Veterans.
So now that
question
means
is,
you're working?
is the town open? What's
Not
that, Bob?
usually.
Oh, not usually, so there's no meeting. So it's the 25th then. I'll give you more time, or, you-
Oh, that's Thanksgiving? Is that
Oh.
Thanksgiving?
That's getting to be, can we try for sooner? Can I
yeah,
postpone?
why don't we shoot to the 28th? And the worst could happen,
So,
October 28th.
October, and the worst could happen, you come here, say, or send a letter, say, continue.
so the board has no meetings in November for clarification, is that correct? That's what it sounds like.
Maybe we'll move it to a different night.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll,
You can change it to a different night. You don't have to do it on the,
But, Mr. Chairman, I think that's a good idea. If we can put a deadline on there of the 28th, and if I can't meet it, I'm not sure how much J.C. Engineering has in, you know, like, you're asking.
Right, but let me say something, due to the holidays, how it's fallen, I think we should vote to pick, just like the Board of Health, they're meeting tonight, their meeting wasn't tonight.
right, you can.
So
you
we
can
should
reschedule.
create, we should do a meeting on November, at least one, because there's a lot of applicants gonna be stuck. We should pick it the 18.
They can find
the
it.
following week is
The
what he said.
Conservation Commission will be meeting on the other week, other Wednesday.
The room's being used.
Well, right now, they're meeting over there.
You can meet in room 27.
Okay,
They do Zoom meetings, as far as I know.
Oh, do they do Zoom? So we're okay.
Yeah, because I don't.
all right, so how we approach to
Can we do Tuesday or Thursday?
We can do the Wednesday, the 18th.
18, how do we vote for it?
Yes, you
All
do.
right, okay.
I remember, oh no, maybe I came here on a Tuesday and there was somebody in here.
Yeah, conservation.
Selectmen.
All right, so do you want to shoot for the 28th October? If it doesn't work, we're gonna vote the special meeting on the 18th. You want to do 18?
Shoot for the 28th and. let-
All right,
let
the
me-
28th,
I'll put a little pressure on my team.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Your name, just your name for the record.
My name is Lydia Graves. I'm the architect, and I live at 68 Cotting Street in Medford. I just had a question on when you were saying about a full set of plans. Are you talking like construction quality?
No.
Construction documents, or?
No, not construction. I don't want to know how thick the
No.
2x4 is.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. You were
No.
saying details and stuff like that.
We need
so-
details, corridors, elevators, shape of building, sizes, but not structural plans.
Okay.
Elevations.
I believe you're asking for the shell, I mean, the exterior
Right.
look of the building more than anything.
And the layout, the floor.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll fill in.
I would concentrate and make it, like Mr. Conti said, a lot, very Cape Cod colonial look. I would very concentrate on this.
Just when you
Elevations.
say details and stuff, I get nervous.
Not construction, no, not construction.
That's a lot of work.
All right.
But we have no jurisdiction over it anyway, there'll be building department.
Right.
So, okay, so on the 28th, you will not be getting any notices, okay? You could check with the town, if the applicant sends a letter, he's gonna continue, so you check, so you don't have to come for nothing, okay?
I'm sorry, who do we check with?
The planning department,
Okay.
6501 extension, 291-3100 extension, 6501, and ask him about the particular hearing if it's going on the 28th.
And if Walter reads his emails, he'll get know as well when.
Oh, I'm putting a reminder right now.
All right.
I won't.
So, all right, so let's make a motion to continue the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, can I?
Oh,
can
I'm
I-
sorry.
Can I have a clarification? It's just, Walter stood up earlier and he's made the remark about if the public didn't come out, that he seemed to point at me that we were going to approve this. I just want to know what his statement was about that. Why was he pointing and saying that this
No, I
person was
wasn't-
going to approve this plan?
It's a personal preference, I mean,
He spoke up and talked, and I was just wondering why, that's all. Can I have clarification what he said there?
who, you asking Mr. Walter?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't
That's
pointing
his
at you, I
opinion.
was just pointing in a direction. I never
Oh.
point directly at anybody, so if you took offense to that, it wasn't directed at you at all.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, we don't read people's mind. This is, everybody has his own opinion, and they could speak the way they wish. That we don't judge
I
anybody.
would make a motion to continue till the 28th of October.
Okay, do I have a
Second.
second? Second by Jim, all in favor, say aye.
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 All
Mr.
right,
Chairman,
so- yes, sir.
before you leave this, could I just offer a suggestion with respect to the traffic?
Yeah,
If you get a traffic report that talks about the level of service on Sandwich Road, as you've already said, it's probably going to be meaningless. But the more appropriate kind of traffic movements that would be helpful, I think, to the board would be, how many trips a day do they think they're going to take out, in and out of there from the residents? How many trips per day from staff? How many shift changes there will be? Service vehicles that come in to fill
Deliveries for the
food
restaurant,
services,
for the
delivery
kitchen.
services, that type of thing.
Laundry.
And how much that'll happen, where they will come in, where they will enter, where they will exit. That type of thing gives you a lot more
In
information.
the traffic
I don't mean to interrupt you guys. I'm very sorry, but is there any way I can leave? I have to go pick up my nephew right now.
You go.
Okay, we don't need to do. All right.
You can leave.
I don't want to. My 8-year-old
That's fine.
nephew would not be happy.
Not
For
suggesting,
the record, if I
not
may.
suggesting you don't include the traffic on Sandwich Road, but the internal workings are just as important in this particular case.
Just 1 second. For the record, Jake Morrison leaves, what time is it?
9:50.
9:50. Okay, but, thank
night,
you.
Jake.
About the traffic study, wouldn't that be particularly for this project? So they study what kind of project and they give the report?
Yes, but based on previous types of studies that we all have seen, the focus seems to be on the main road that's in front of the facility and not so much the activity back and forth out of the facility. That's what's going to impact Sandwich Road and the residents that live in that area, as to what's going to happen in and out of the site, in and out of the site.
If you don't mind, Charlie, is it possible you could exchange email with Mr. Fred and the technical word for his traffic engineer to design it based on that?
I'll try to put something together with a copy to the board. I don't want to just make it to Mr. Mannix, but I do.
Okay, copy
I do have his
everybody.
email. I'll do it.
Copy me on them too?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we continued on the, for the 28th.
Yeah.
All right, very well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think I have your email address.
All right,
Got one here myself, I'll swap with
I
you.
have to move it. All right, how we gonna approach to make a special meeting? Should we, somebody make a motion?
You just vote, yeah, make a motion and vote on it, and then we'll schedule.
All right,
So moved.
all right, so we have a motion by Jim. We have a motion by Jim to have a special meeting on November 18, 2020, because we're not meeting on the 11th nor on Thanksgiving the Thursday, so apparently
I'll
we're not.
second.
So we're not gonna meet Wednesday, right? Thanksgiving Thursday, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the 18th, I
So
second
the
that.
18th, so second by Veronica, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose, abstain. So the 18th, Sonia, will be our meeting on
It'll be
November.
our only meeting in the month.
All right, we wanna go back to Walmart, the release of landscaping.
They haven't done the work yet to repair the landscape
I
yet.
make a motion, we continue to continue.
Okay,
Walter Cruz, second.
second for Walter to continue to 22-11 Walmart. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye, oppose, abstain. Anything else you guys would like to add?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, abstain. So carries. Thank you very much.
Aye.
Have a good night.
Good night.